got that out of my system, I think, before I was 10 or 12 years old.
Really?
And I was looking for that next hard thing,
Well,
hard
then
thing.
we got into disco pretty heavy when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That was a thing when we were doing the whole club scene. My wife and I were married. Now we used to go down and dance down at Lighthouse Limited as a kids, and we were dressed up and did that whole thing, and that whole soulful thing. And then was a college, we were listening to Rick James, a Super Freak.
Oh, I love Rick James. That's the one guy I haven't worked with. There's two people I haven't worked with in my life: Rick James and Junie Morrison. Those are two people I've always wanted to work with and never had a chance.
Who's the favorite guy you ever worked with? I'll probably have a question on some podcast. Favorite guy you ever worked with?
Oh, shoot, man.
Yeah, why are you gonna make it? We're gonna put this on the internet. He's gonna get pissed off phone calls.
Yeah.
A lot of
pleasure meeting you. I gotta go make some money now.
Oh,
yeah.
please
Back
do.
to my doctor.
A lot of this show.
God bless. Thanks for coming to hang out with Matt. Thanks for being his friend.
Okay, and if I ever ask for a key, please say yes. Because if I ask you,
Matt's responsible for deciding who can come in the house.
Okay, because if I ask, I really need it.
He owns everything downstairs. He's already claimed the house after we die.
Okay.
I have told him that. I was like, I'm putting too much shit in your basement.
Yeah.
He's a geek, man. A lot of this show, a lot of this show gets inspired by him, because I would watch him do.
Well, he sounds like he's a very inspirational guy.
He loves motivating people. He loves being like really passionate folks. But like he could find a rando in an airport and talk to him for an hour and a half about what gets him up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part of my life, I was like, that's the weirdest habit for a parent to have. I was like, you got to cut that shit out. You gotta
Stop talking to people.
you got to quit talking to everybody, Dad. But that's just how he rolls, man. He loves that shit.
I'm sort of like that. So it helps.
Do me a favor, pull that microphone a little bit up, and I would love to kind of pick up where we were just talking, because
how's this?
That's perfect. Because
right.
I hit record during a little bit of the middle of that, because I wanted to hear like, what are some of the first records that really identified what you were listening to in the house? What were like the first of your mom's collection that you're putting on, your first of your dad's?
My mother listened to a lot of Della Reese. She listened to Barbra Streisand. That was the two that I remember. Della Reese has to be the one that caught my ear.
Yeah.
And then my father's James Brown. James Brown, Otis Redding, Sam and Dave. Sam and Dave really caused me, because they all those guys like sang like they like somebody was like pinching them or something. They so much soul, you know. Like one thing I was always infatuated with was slow jam records, because even from female artists, like they sang with so much passion. As a kid, I always thought it's like, man, it's like, what is these women doing to these guys that make them sound like they're about to die? It's like, I mean, the passion that they sang with.
Yeah. Especially when you listen to Tina and you hear more about that story, it's like,
oh yeah, Tina, yeah.
You know, Payne makes the best art in some ways, but like sometimes as listeners, we're kind of sick. Like we want to hear that pain.
Yeah, because you know, in some if those feelings are not up front, something in your heart is drawing you to that.
Yeah, you
might not be in pain. You might be in pain for somebody else. You know, some type of emotion. But that's what drew me to slow music. You know, especially in the the early '70s with the falsetto lead vocalist. Mm. That also, like the Delphonics, that type of thing really drew me in as a kid. Almost hypnotized me. You know.
Yeah. What's the cat that I always space his name, but like especially the male falsetto. I kind of walk it back from Prince to Curtis, and then there's a cat before Curtis. His name starts with an S, and I always
Sly Johnson.
No, he's one of the guys that was always writing for everybody, and it's not Sonny, but that's gonna drive me nuts.
They're falsetto guys, man. I mean.
Well, it's just there's a style of that where it's like all these guys that grew up singing, these women's songs, but they learned how to control that range. It's different.
You know who had a beautiful falsetto that he used it sparingly was Marvin Gaye.
And he would just kind of touch and go with it versus so many guys. It was their bread and butter.
It's like he used it when you listening to it. He'll be singing, his voice, and then but when he hits those falsettos. it's like it's an exclamation point to anything that he's done, before, leading up to it. And when he used the falsetto, it was just, it was the icing on the cake of everything you just listened to, whether it was a verse or whether he's going through a transition.
Yeah.
It kills me, man.
It was Smokey Robinson that was
Smokey?
Yes. Smokey really had
yeah.
that, and that was his bread and butter. And then you see guys use it more sparingly. Like, I love looking at Lenny Kravitz's style and kind of tracing that back to some of these, like, mutual heroes and how
Yeah.
It Ain't Over Till It's Over has those perfect moments of falsetto.
Yeah. That's cool.
What was the first time that you were out, like, buying records of your own and kind of sticking them with your parents' catalog? Like, do you remember the first one?
Oh, yeah, I remember the first record I bought. Oh, and Ron Isley Brothers. Ron Isley.
Dude, there's some straight savages from
3
OTR.
Plus 3.
Those boys could do something
3
different.
album. That was the first album he did with his brothers.
Yeah. Did you feel differently about music that was being made so close to home? Like, were you really aware as a Dayton kid?
I wasn't aware of. I was aware of the Ohio Players. Junie Morrison, his falsetto is ridiculous.
And that's what I'm not really hip to.
Shoot, man. Look up the song "Silly Billy."
Silly Billy.
It's on the Ohio Players, maybe second Westbound album. His falsetto is probably my favorite. I don't know. I'm a huge Junie Morrison fan just because of what he did with the Ohio Players, cool. And then what he did with Funkadelic and Parliament. But then I start studying him and how he came up in Dayton, Roosevelt High School, the music program. The music program at Roosevelt was a high school on the west side of town where majority of black people live. Majority of them work for GM, their parents anyway. And I was reading about him, and Junie was talking about I can't think of the name of the music teacher, but he named the music teacher particularly of how he nurtured all the students. And so I continued to read about him. And the change in the bands when he joined the bands. Yeah, so the Ohio Players was sort of floundering. They had a lead singer. I can't remember his name. And Ohio Players were the backing band. Ohio Players wanted to break away from him. Junie Morrison joined the group. And I don't know how young he was, but he wasn't 20, I don't think.
You think he was younger than 20?
When he joined the group, I think he was. So then he joins the group. And from that last album they made, I think it was called Impressions, I'm not sure, to the first album that they make with Westbound, the only change in the band was Junie. Listen to that album. And then you listen to their Ohio Players' first album. It's a completely different band.
Yeah.
He goes through that Westbound thing. Ohio Players goes to Mercury. Junie stays to do 3 solo albums. Those 3 solo albums are like avant-garde albums. He make the one song "Tightrope," which is that was like the hit. Like, we want something to sound like Funky Worm, Pleasure, Pain, that type of thing. So he makes Tightrope, but then after Tightrope, nothing sounds like the Ohio Players. It's all him. He does all the instruments. He's like Prince before Prince.
Have you watched that new Sly Stone documentary, Black Genius?
Not yet.
So I'm really excited about that because they talk about his production style and how much that had an influence on Prince. But I didn't want to derail you too much.
No, go ahead.
It's just the moment we get on the Man in Purple, it's like I start firing off with nonsense that I'm thinking about. Dude, I'm watching too much of that P. Diddy stuff, and then there was all those Prince rumors that came out. I was like, oh my God, dude, I can't go too deep into that.
Right. We'll talk about that, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then Junie goes on and does his solo thing. And then he gets with, there's a little gap in there, then he gets with Parliament Funkadelic. Funkadelic as a band is awesome, of course. But listen to Funkadelic as a band before Junie, which is 76. When did One Nation come out? 78?
Let me look up.
So then the last Funkadelic album before Junie got with him, I think was not Let's Take It to the Stage. Might have been Let's Take It to the Stage.
You're talking about the album after One Nation?
No, the album before One Nation.
Gotcha.
I think it's the one with the big skull.
That would seem right. Man, my internet's slacking today.
Let me see.
So while this is all going on,
so
like,
then
are you? This is like the end of your high school career. You're kind of watching all this go down.
No, actually, what I'm talking about is just me liking Junie, but then as I get older and studying music, I noticed that. Well, first of all, I seen Junie when I was in high school. It was like when he was doing his. He got out of Parliament Funkadelic, and was doing another solo run. So after Parliament Funkadelic, he got a deal with Columbia, so he put out the album Bread Alone. So then before Bread Alone comes out, he does a show in the park in Greenwich Village up in Dayton. It's just him. He has an electric keyboard and a microphone, and he's set up in the little pavilion at the park, and he's playing, the songs off of Bread Alone. He's singing Ohio Players stuff. And it's just him and the microphone. I was mesmerized. I rode my bike probably 10 miles across town to see him. And it was just him. It was just him playing.
That's crazy.
And so I was always being infatuated with him.
Yeah.
But how the band sounds, Funkadelic as a band, I don't think would have had a #1 hit like they did if Junie didn't join the band. Because Junie, he was an arranger. He arranged everything. George Clinton talked about it, that they was on the one thing. Junie put him on a 3. He took the music and arranged it on a 3. That's how One Nation. One Nation's on a 1. Listen to the rest of the album. Not a lot of 1.
Yeah. That's crazy too when constraints make the best art. You make this your MO. It's got to be on the 1. That's how the groove sits. And it gets you through a decade of music where people are trying to figure out what is so different about this. And it is just that one boundary. And then to break yourself into that, it's like, don't overcomplicate it. Let's just move it somewhere else. Put it on the 3. Let's make it a 1 drop. You know what I'm saying? Like now it has such a more deep backbeat, almost like a reggaeton kind of feel.
Yeah. And George, I listened to George Clinton talk about it in several interviews he does, and people ask him about Junie. I asked a couple other cats that was in the band, because luckily I've been able to work with a lot of different Funkadelic members, Parliament members over the years. It's been really cool. It's like every time, I'm like a fan every time. But I always keep that inside and keep it professional, but inside I'm jumping around. Just like I worked with Bootsy for the first time. It was crazy.
Yeah. I
asked him a silly question. I was like, and I didn't know. So all this stuff I'm learning as my, going on. I was like, yo, Boot. I said, you ever work with Junie Morrison? He looked at me and said, yeah, a few times. But it's like, so I'm still studying history.
Yeah.
And they've been working together. When Junie joined the group, all the way up, all through that 3-4 year period, they've been working together. I had no idea.
Man, before I went to the most recent signing for the album of the year from #1 Funketeer, I was like, what piece of Bootzilla history do I want to listen to? And I went and listened to the Funkadelic Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, where Prince walks up and kind of speaks to what they did to music. And then you watch this posse of 30 killers walk up there. Yeah. And everyone gets their moment to kind of say something.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Mike Cobb, Monster Mike, had been on the podcast once. And Mike was telling me about dude, he's such a beautiful person, man. Plays his ass off too.
Yeah.
But he was telling me he walked back in a dressing room one day, and it's Bootsy, and it's Fraser, and a bunch of these other guys kicking it, and they just kept telling him, it was like, it's loyalty over royalty, man. Like, it's like, you can go a lot of places in this game, but you take your family with you. And so I'd imagine when you get a chance to ask Bootsy something like that, and you're approaching as a fan, it's like, that's like talking about a brother or talking about a cousin. It's like, it brings back all the fond memories that have nothing to do with the record.
Yeah.
It's just that person in your life. And it's so crazy the way that as you start to do the history, you realize that these guys come from Roosevelt High School. They come down the street, like.
Mm-hmm. And I live like a mile from Roosevelt. Actually, I would have went to that school, but they closed it like, a year or two before I went to high school. So
yeah, well,
but yeah,
let's go more back into your history though. Like, so as you turn 18, you get out of high school, you're gonna do the Air Force thing. Where did that first take you to?
Took me upstate New York after basic training. So I was a cop, security police. Also studied a little bit of law enforcement, enough to do side law enforcement work within the Air Force. But I was security police, and it took me to upstate New York. So the base was up in Rome, New York. It's the base they had 1999 Woodstock.
No way.
So then that's where the base was. It was a nuclear base, which meant they had nuclear weapons on the base. It had alert B-52 air-launched cruise missiles. I think it was 10 or 12 B-52s on alert at all times. So then we were the security for that facility. So when I got there, I got there in January '83, and it's cold. You stand up, say this is the airplane. It was crazy. So you got 10 glasses sitting around, right? It's a guy, 24/7, all year round. It's a guy standing right there all the time. And he entered control, so he's making sure nobody comes to his plane. So his plane's sitting here. There's somebody always along this fence line, walking back and forth. So you got 10 of these. And that was your job, to guard these nuclear weapons. Not only you had to guard it, so then there's always this gate is always open. There's no gate. It's just an opening that if they have to go on alert, they can just leave. So that was our job. And it was weapon storage areas, and it was other areas as well. So that's what we did. That was our job. But then, you worked 6 days and had 3 days off. And 3 days off, you did whatever you wanted. So there was a lot of guys that were from the East Coast that was security police. So what I ended up doing was, every other day off, we would go to one of the cities. Like, I'm from Jersey, so 3 days off, let's go to your house. So we'd drive to Jersey, we'd drive to Boston, we'd drive to New York City, Philadelphia, Buffalo. It's like all over. I'm experienced hip hop at its roots, 83, 84. This is going down. Every time we went to the studio, not every time we went to New York, we just ended up somewhere at a club, whatever. I forgot his first name. His last name is Stroman. He was in the Boogie Boys. You remember the Boogie Boys?
I'm not too hip to the Boogie Boys.
So the Boogie Boys were the early rap groups that came up along with, Fat Boys.
William
they
Stroman,
made that.
Boogie Night.
Yeah. Actually, people from Cincinnati helped produce that group. That's a whole nother story. But Stroman was stationed. He was stationed up there at the base in Rome, New York. Griffiths was in the Griffiths Air Force Base. He was stationed there. He would leave he was in supply, I think he was, but he didn't work with us. But he would leave. A friend, one of my best friends was friends of his, so they would go down. I never went down with him, but he would go down, and he was recording their first album while he was in the Air Force. So he would come back with stories and stuff, and everybody's infatuated with, like, oh man, Strowman down in the city.
Had you started to DJ before you got into the Air Force?
Yeah, and I actually, as far as Dayton, Ohio is concerned, so we was underground DJs. Me and my partner Mac D, we DJ'd house party DJs. You set up your stuff, you start playing around 9, 10, you don't stop until the last person leaves. Sometimes sun coming up, we sleeping under the table sometimes. People still here, hit play.
Typically a one table setup?
No, we had a table, and we had 2 cassette players. So we had an all-in-one. We had all-in-one jammy, right? So we had a 8-track. We had a turntable. So we used the amp on the one jammy. We used that for the amp. And how we switched around music was just on the selector switch. So we had a cassette player, we had a turntable, then we had another turntable sitting to the side. So we had the 2 turntables. I had a phono to line converter to hook into the line 2 of the all-in-one. So we had the 2 turntables, so you could switch phono, line 1. Aux 2 was the cassette player. We had the cassette player.
That's sick.
Sometimes we had two cassette players, 3, whatever we needed.
Yeah, so with the cassette, you can't really select a spot, though, right?
We listen. Well, our cassettes, the older component sets had everything on them. If you remember, so the older equipment, they built it as if you were an audiophile. So you could record with it. It had outputs, 2 or 3 of them. It had phono. It had headphone jacks on each of the cassette players. All of them had headphone jacks.
So you could pop in, find your spot, rewind.
So, we playing the records. The records was the main thing. We would switch from phono to line 1 because I had the converter.
That's badass.
So, we up there rocking.
Yeah. And at that point in time, are you spinning 2 tracks sequentially, or are you still bouncing every song, kind of curating in that kind of manner?
Yeah. We just bouncing back and forth, one song to the next,
the next. Typically a full track, or are you kind of saying, like, I'm going to go from this chorus straight into this one?
No.
Okay.
No. We played full track till we see people, it's like, when people start getting tired of hearing it, they'll sort of slack off something. We start seeing, so it's time to go to the next one. It really didn't matter it didn't matter where the song was. People weren't feeling it. We faded out, throw the next one on.
Okay, cool.
We just stop it, turn the next one on. It was a lot of different things. Like we just stopped the record, say some stuff, blah, 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 start the next one. And it's like being a house DJ is like you can't hide.
Yeah.
You're right there. It's like, the people bumping the table and all like that. Get off the table. Like if nobody's dancing, we had a couple of guys. That was just, they was just party cats. Like, yo, go out there and dance, get people going. All our house parties, we never had more than 1 chair. It's like we don't want no chairs like it was in the basement. We setting up. They like the house party, like anything you had expensive, they throw it in the closet or putting upstairs in the room and locking the door. Because like the thing was like, yo, we gonna steal somebody's trophy. It was just like, and it wasn't like you stealing it to use it. It was just like some fun stuff. Let's take their picture off the wall.
Yeah.
And see what you can get away with.
Yeah, some shit that they shouldn't notice.
Yeah, right. So everybody was like, they hiding all their good shit.
Dude, that's.
and it'd be like we put 1 chair in the basement because we want nobody sitting down at our parties.
That's awesome.
So they could, it's like, yo, if you want to sit down, they could fight over that 1 chair.
Yeah.
And as people come in, we playing music, and we just playing the crowd the whole time. watching people, you learn how to read the crowd. So then you learn how to read the crowd, you start to learn the type of tempos and the type of music that's affecting people's moods.
It really is crazy to start to kind of organize your...
And you start to organize your set, as you start to see how people are reacting to it.
Yeah.
We start DJing like in eighth, ninth grade.
So I get why your dad's like, don't take all your expensive shit out there. It's like, these are nice records. These are nice amps. All of it was
from like pawn shops.
Dude.
It wasn't the nice. It was like whatever you could afford, with your grass cutting and bush cutting money. You know what I'm saying? So, I had a big, and I wish I still had it because the part where we had an EQ that was like this guitar EQ. It was like an actual like guitar EQ. It looked like, and we would, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like whatever we had, that's what we rock with.
But that's so wild to be able to sculpt for the first time. It used to be like, okay, you got all these outputs, but they're going straight to your speakers. And what your speakers can do, that's what they can do. But it's like, no, I know this one track around 120, there's a sweet spot in there.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm gonna push that a little bit.
We want to bring it. We want to bring up some vocals like that. Whatever.
So what was it like to watch DJing kind of change, especially as you're bouncing around the Northeast?
And then going to New York. We seen these DJs rocking 2 turntables. They got the cross faders and all of this. I'm like, man, that's what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? I want to get that set up.
Yeah. How long was it till you started to see guys scratching and just using instrumentals and like true MCs kind of coming to the forefront?
We seen that. Well, we seen that before. When we was in high school, we seen it. 79, 80. So the records we were getting. We go record shopping, and the sound of the day was funk, soul, some disco, so we was getting those records. But like the rap records was trickling in from the East Coast, and they would just give them to us because nobody was buying them. Like, we got these records, so we spend $30, $40, and we was getting another $40 worth of rap. But the rap records were. The ones we had was like radio personality records. So, you got the music rocking, but then it'd be, oh yeah, 107.9, WWB cool in the back of your mind, that type of thing, what I'm saying? So that to us, coming up, that was like our rap thing. So, and nobody had this record. It's called Casper the Groovy Ghost Show. That was like when we dropped that, it was over,
dude.
Because it's like it's got this funky, and this band's playing, and that and Fatback Band, King Tim III. That was probably the first record to sound like a rap record that we was hip to.
Yeah,
it was that Casper the Groovy Ghost Show. Captain Sky, that. So it was that style of early rap music, which was bands that were using the rap style to do the vocals.
Yeah, like that new cadence is kind of a
cadence. Yeah,
but Bootsy kind of has that too, right? Where it's like Bootsy's playing these syncopated lines, and I wouldn't say he's necessarily singing a lot of this lyric.
Yeah,
it's so spoken word.
He's almost talking through, but he's on a cadence.
Yes, and only he had that rhythm. But I'd imagine that. Okay, if you're the MC of the night, it's like we hit an instrumental break. You gotta speak to the crowd. You gotta be smooth.
You gotta say, gotta say something. You just can't be talking.
Yeah,
you gotta put some kind of bounce in your voice for people to want to listen to you, because if people are listening to the music, they particularly don't want to hear you.
Yeah.
So then, if you're talking along with the rhythm of the music, people are still listening to the music, but they're hearing what you're saying, not particularly paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
But they are. It's like you're not interrupting. You're not interrupting the groove, injecting your voice.
Yeah. So with Casper, is that like, that's a rap record in the sense that there's a fresh arrangement for that. This isn't a sampled record.
Right.
It's not coming from a familiar place. When was the first time you started to see like familiar catalog recycled into rap music?
That's a good question. Well, I would I can't say I particularly remember that, but I do remember bands. Well, Rapper's Delight has to be the first one.
I didn't know that's a sample.
It's a sample of Chic.
No
Good Times.
shit. No, okay,
So
no
then-
shit.
So then what they did was that they interpolated. So they're playing. It's a live band, but they're playing Good Time. I mean, yeah, they playing Good Times.
Dude, no wonder Niles Rodgers
But
wearing
it's a
such
lot.
nice suits. Imagine double dipping on making all that money
Yeah,
on
that's-
Chic and then coming back with Rapper's Delight. The amount of records you just sold. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know what the business. I was studying. I was studying the history of Sugar Hill Records, and I'm still working on that. I read one book. I'm working on another one. But so then Winbush. Who's the bad bass player named Winbush?
Wimbush?
He was one of the studio musicians at Sugar Hill Records. So he was talking about it. But yeah, that was probably the first one. And I remember, so we was seniors in high school, and
Doug Wimbush.
yeah. So then that was the first like rap record that we had. We had some earlier ones like the radio
Casper.
personality style ones. But then when Rapper's Delight came out, that was probably the first one that you asked about as far as sampling and stuff's concerned. Man, when that came out, I remember we played a house party off of Germantown. Played in somebody's backyard. We on the back porch set up. We played that record 6 times in a row. We played that record 6 times in a row. And literally just picked the needle up and started over, and they danced. They never stopped dancing. Then we switched it up. We dropped Casper the Groovy Ghost Show behind that, and then we went right back into Rapper's Delight for like 4 more times.
Did you ever throw Good Times in the mix to see
No,
how?
we
Okay.
weren't. It's like we wasn't even. It's like you just heard the setup we got, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we had a mixer. The Radio Shack mixer was our first one. It is still pretty. That thing's a monster.
Dude,
The
it done.
Radio Shack mixer with the 3-input jamming and the crossfader. But it's like we wasn't even hip to the crossfader. You know, we we was mixing, but we was just sliding up and down with different things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
When the technicality that comes with the crossover and watch you guys, I think it's crab scratch is the term. Like watching people get those rhythms underhand, you start to see the instrumentation of the thing.
It's like you watch your fingers. It's like watching somebody play a guitar, basically.
Yeah, and it's so much like piano too, where it's like it's so tactile.
Piano,
So when was the first time you really saw that being utilized in that kind of way?
When I went to New York.
Okay, so
When
it
I
wasn't
lived in
just
New York.
hard switch; it was guys playing the crossover.
Yeah, they scratching. You know, if you watch the old jammies, the old videos of the cats, they doing merry-go-round, whatever you call it, where they just dropping a beat here, and then they come back and they're just repeating a section of the song, the break. You hear them talk about the break.
Yeah.
So I got a chance to see that firsthand. And
Can you remember the break beat that you heard for the first time?
no.
Okay, I was gonna say that.
I mean, I was, I was just living. I was living, living my life. So I don't have a lot of recall of all the things that I've seen. I know I've seen a lot of things. I've seen that as well.
Yeah.
But I was just living. I was drinking and partying.
Oh, for sure. Well, I
Just
mean, you
being
walk
part
into
of
the park.
scene,
Yeah. Was it crazy to watch a guy scratching for the first time? Like, did you have a negative reaction to that, or did you love it off the bat?
Nah, I just loved it right off the rip. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I feel like there's something like violating about watching someone, somewhat destroying a record that you loved.
Oh no.
Okay. You're not
Nah,
fucking
it's just
done.
like what they did, after coming up and listening to like early rap records that was introduced to us, on into, and on, it was just part of it.
Yeah.
It's like, when you hear it, it's like, oh shit, that's dope.
Yeah. One of my favorite things, I got a 78 pressing of the Prince self-title. And on that back half, I Want to Be Your Lover, where he hits that instrumental, there's just this burp in that record where you can just hear this guy's been dropping that needle right there every time. That's all he needed from this record.
Yeah.
The rest of it rolls great. But it's like, to feel someone's, it's like when you pick up a guitar and you can tell that this guy always sat there around the 7th fret. You know, that's where he did his damage. It's there's something so endearing about that kind
that
of
little
mark.
piece is a little lighter than the rest of the neck.
Exactly. It's like, you took some wood off this thing, man.
Right.
So you're kind of coming back and forth between being in the Air Force, checking out a new buddy's home. Was there any place that you really gravitated towards that you thought you were going to spend some time after the Air Force?
No, I didn't. I never really thought that far ahead. I was a day-to-day type of cat. I didn't know what I was doing from one day to the next. It's like the Air Force was like the only thing I knew I had to do the next day was be at work on time.
Yeah.
And we just drank and partied the rest of the time. I had no idea what was going on. I probably should have paid more attention. I probably could have, done a lot more, but, just living, man. I really enjoyed just wanting to be a part of what was going on. It's like I wanted to be in the music business, and, I never really felt, it's like, man, I'm into all this, I know all this stuff, but I'm not in the music business. And what I didn't realize is if you could find your way around, if you had a house party, if you at somebody's office, if you at a show, you are in the music business. You just got to find your place. It's really about doing it. It's not about somebody's going to say, hey, come on into the music business.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's like, just like you, it's like you just got to be there.
Yeah.
You got to be there, and when you're there, you got to figure out what you can do to help somebody else. It's like, what can I do to help? What can I do to be a part of it? I had that experience when I got with the Animal Crackers. That's one of the experiences, but that's my one experience particularly, because that was the first time, and I knew how it worked, but it was my first time having to find my place. So then I graduated from Full Sail in '91. I said, finally in the music business. My first job was down at Ligosa, down at the Longworth Hall when he was down there.
No shit.
That was my first job. Peace to Mark Liggett and all the homies.
Dude, I didn't know you knew Mark. I just met Mark for the first time. I went over to his home studio, man. Next time I'm kicking it with him, I'll have to bring you up.
Yeah. Well, make sure you don't have nothing to do, because once you say Philly Phill, it's gonna be some stories. Cool. I would love that. Just make sure you finish whatever you're recording. Record it, then bring it up, because it's gonna be a lot of laughs. I love them cats. I love Mark and all the guys there, because Jerry Lane. Because when I graduated from Full Sail, I was studying sound engineering in the music business. Jerry was so generous with his information. One, he didn't want me to mess up nothing.
Yeah.
But two, he was genuinely teaching me that room because he wanted me to be a service to him. Not a service to him like, hey, go do this or go get some coffee. It wasn't that. That's part of my job. But he was teaching me how to work with him.
Yeah. And when you can think in that same kind of lane.
Yeah, Phil, this. Yeah, it's like they took me on as part of the team right away. They didn't say, oh, yeah, you just an intern. I never was an intern. It's like when I came there to work, Jerry was like, this is how you do this. Do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do that? The one thing I did know how to do was edit tape.
And you learned that at Full Sail?
I learned that at high school when we was breaking down cassettes.
No shit. So what was the you could record onto your cassettes? Was that what you were doing? Is like you would record something off a radio and then cut that tape and put it together? Or what'd you need it for?
Sometimes, and then other times, the tape would just get eaten. So we would have to cut out that wrinkled up part, whatever.
And what was that process like for the first time you open up a cassette? You're looking at the thing, you're like, am I really about to take a razor blade to this,
Yeah. Well, you just cut it with it wasn't untechnical. We just cut it with a pair of scissors, slapped it back together, just get out that bad part.
Yeah.
We never got that technical to where we go. It's like and that's the thing is like if you're not exposed to it and you just try, it's like how do you do that? How do you do that? Just, if you're not exposed to it, if you're not around people, then you really don't know. You just try to do whatever you know.
Yeah.
But you don't know what you don't know. You go to another place. That's just like when you work with guitar players. You see, I'm a badass. You go to another place. You watch this guy like, shit, I still got a lot of work to do. It's like this.
So you get there and you just had enough time.
And I noticed that guitar players and drummers are like that more than, from my experience. They'll come and watch. They'll stand there on the side of the stage and just watch, and then they'll just turn around.
They got what they needed,
Yeah, it's like I got to get back, to the drawing board. Yeah. So it was sort of the same thing. It's like I knew what I knew, but when I got to Ligosa, they sort of brought me in like that, and I even forgot what the question was. But
no, I want to hear more about that because like you go in, you got a degree in the industry, but now you're actually doing the thing. So it's like, where can I plug myself in for a guy that...
Yeah, okay, animal crackers. Yeah. So then, it's so much before that. But so I'm doing a residency at it's the first internet cafe in Cincinnati.
I can look it up. I couldn't tell you.
It was Calhoun. So you got Short North, and that's where the Animal Crackers was playing, down at Top Cats, and I was at.
It was Top Cats back then?
It was Top Cats. So I started this residency in 2000.
It was called Cyber Cafe, opened in 1994.
Okay, so that's not the first one. Then the second one. Then.
Okay.
It was Mo's Records. Can't remember the name of it. But anyway, Paul Moran's like, yo, man, we need to start. You're going to DJ this, this weekly, which ended up being like, I think we played once a month every other week. So I was up here at the cafe up here. Animal Crackers playing down here on Short North. I'm rocking like for 6 hours. So we started like at 9 o'clock, I think, 10 o'clock, and I played till like 2 in the morning. So I break like eight crates of records, turntables, and I would play. And when we first started, it was hockey fight. He called it hockey fight night. That's what Paul called it. And he had all these videos of hockey fights, just straight hockey fights, like hours. So we would put that on the TV, and I'll be playing. I'll just rock it, playing whatever I'm playing. And man, so I get into the best part of night, 12, 1, like 11. I start playing, and the tempo as you play, the tempo gets faster, till you get into that groove to where people are getting into it. By the time 1 o'clock hit, anybody that's been there for any amount of time has been drinking a lot. And they just start fighting because they've been watching hockey fights for 2 or 3 hours.
Oh my god!
That's all we played on that TV was hockey fights.
Where you get a compilation of hockey fights at that point in time?
Well, Paul was into hockey. He played hockey.
Okay, so he's making himself.
So we play these hockey videos on the TV, and I'm just playing, just rocking, man, just playing whatever. But what I didn't know was all the other DJs. I don't know about all of them, but I know a handful of them just told me they seen me play before. Was coming in. I know DJ Red Groove was one particular that came in, and we talked about it later once we met and started talking. He would come in and listen to me spin. And I don't know who these guys are. They just, I don't care. I'm playing. I had the opportunity just to play whatever I wanted to play. So I'm rocking like really my style, which is like a house party style. I blend, I do a little bit of scratching, but my thing is really like reading crowds, playing the things. So a house party style, like all the cutting and scratching and all the technical stuff came, later in my personal DJ career.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to start with curation being the number one.
Yeah, curating, reading crowds, understanding what the job of a DJ is, like the base job of the DJ, is to entertain the crowd and to keep the crowd happy. If they're not moving like they're supposed to move, then you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Well, when you look and creates records like that too, like to think about what you do bring and what you don't bring. How many more flights down the stairs are you gonna do in a day before you're taking that up?
As many as I need to. It's like the work part of it never bothered me. Like I usually people now they're like, Philly, man, where you got all these crates? I'm like, man, I only do this once or twice every other month. Is like I could put some work in for 6 hours. Like carrying crates don't mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
I could carry them. At one point in my life, the only way I was staying in shape was carrying crates. And I never really, it's like doing the work is the least of my worries. I could care less. It's like, well, I got 3 hours to prep. I'm going to prep for 3 hours, whatever it is. Has that
always been you, or is that a military kind of thing?
It was me and MacD in high school. And actually, we went into the Air Force together. Then we split up from New York. He went to Italy. I went to the Philippines. And then after that, it's really just been me up until the time I got with the Animal Crackers.
Yeah, but I mean more of that mentality, like, I don't mind the work. I know what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
Have you always been that laser focused?
When it comes to DJing, yeah. Yeah. When it comes to DJing, anything I'm interested in, I'm like that.
Yeah.
So then they're coming in to see me play up here, Hockey Fight Night. After a while, Paul was like, yo, I'm going to bring, I think maybe our attendance was waning. So Paul was like, yo, I'm going to hook you up with these cats, Animal Crackers. I'm going to have so-and-so come up. So DQ was the first DJ that I met from the Animal Crackers that came up to play with me. And, they scratching and stuff, so DK come up scratch. But after a while, DJ, we became good friends, in that atmosphere. And after a while, DQ would just sit and watch me DJ. And I would sit and watch him DJ. And we both was impressed with each other. It's like I'm impressed with him, he's impressed with me. DQ is a scratch DJ. I wouldn't think that he would be impressed with me. Because the things I do is very simple. When you talk about DJing as far as how technical it can get. I don't know what he was impressed about, but we both had mutual respect for each other. After a while, they was like, yo, man, you need to come down and check out hip hop night down at Top Cats. And I think that went on for about maybe a year before I decided to come down to see him. I also worked. I worked at an engineering company. I did a lot of stuff. But that paid the bills. Everything outside the bills went back into my career, my music career. I never considered working. It turned into a career just by proxy, but I never really considered that like my day job always supported my passion. It wasn't the other way around. It's like I'm going to put my passion to work and I'm just going to dabble over here. It never was like that. It was always with my passion. Anything that I did outside of that supported that. So with that mentality, that kept me on point of what I wanted to do in life.
That's beautiful, man. And like, how many people are, stamping their card at a day job and you don't know what you're working for. You don't know what the joy is. Like you don't feel that passion about it.
That sucks.
So it's just a number you chase. It's just
terrible.
It's just money in the bank. It's like to have a reason you do it.
Yeah.
And to feel like you're doing this so you can get back to the reason.
Yeah.
And it's like that's calling in life, man. And so many folks
like,
miss that.
I'll go to work today, but I got this gig at 9:00. I'm not missing the gig. I'm not working late.
Yeah.
Can you work late today? No. Well, you're the only one that can do it. I'll give you one more hour. So in other words, the way I seen it, and I respect everybody I work with. I put everything in you know, like the engineering job. It's like I learned how to mix and design asphalt. I learned how to test and quality control asphalt. I learned like it's all this civil engineering stuff that I learned. I did it for 23 years. All through that time, I worked a day job. When I did the hockey fight night, I ended up getting a job down in Chillicothe, building a highway, and I'm very proud of all the work that I did. Is that you can go. It's just like if your plaques on the wall. Yeah, I did that. I did that. I did that. Me. During that time period, I can travel around and see all the work that I do. It's like those are like my plaques on the wall, like the Great American Tower with downtown. I tested probably 70% of that concrete is in that building.
That's wild.
We overseen the testing of like the fireproofing. It's like these things is like you have no idea of what goes on when they have to build highways. Like when I was doing that Chillicothe job, 11 miles of brand new road cutting through mountains, hills, farmland, all of this stuff that I had a chance to be a part of. Those are like my plaques on the wall. I'm very proud of it. Yeah. It's like being a black man that I am and working at the company that I work for. The company I work for was owned by a woman. A lot of cats had a problem with that. Like they didn't want to take no, they want to take no orders from no woman. Especially it's a very like a lot of things, a lot of male-oriented things. But this company is so unique, called Resource International, so unique that I wanted to make sure that they had the picture, the Engineers Hall of Fame, whatever, and those guys, you meet a person in the music business, musician, or even a bit like somebody doing business that are just special cats. Like when they walk in the room, they they take up the room. So smart, and everybody knows it, and they know it, but they are very humble about it. I was very, it was like that. And I love being around people like that. Bootsy's like that.
Bootsy's definitely like that. Patty's like that
Patty's
too.
like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like that. But there's a very small amount of people that's like that. But in every career field, there's somebody like that. Mm. I got a chance to be around those type of people and learn from them people. So then all them plaques on the wall is the Great American Tower. That 10 miles of highway. The new highway up here that connects Hamilton to 75, that was all brand new cut. I got a chance to work on that.
And did you feel like that type of work enhanced your music life?
Yes, it did. Okay. Because it's like, I basically I got an engineering in civil engineering. I got a degree in civil engineering by doing it.
That's cool. That's different, man.
But it's passionate, and I was passionate about it. I didn't BS around with it. But when I got off work, I was also as passionate doing whatever I was doing. So then, in music, getting back to the Animal Crackers. After that year went by, and not knowing that people was coming by checking me out, I finally came down, had my bag of records. What's up, DQ? Yo, this is Toby. Everybody got their DJ name, whatever. So and so, what's up, man? Hanging out. We can't play today. We don't got time for you to play today. All right, cool. Come back the next week. Now the hockey fight night is over now. That went 2 years, it's over. And so now I'm down here. Cody's Cafe, that's the name of it.
Cool.
Cody's right down the street from Mo's record. That's the name of it, Cody's Cafe. So then Cody's is over, and I'm going down to Top Cat. Got my bag of records. I'm sitting there. Yo, yeah, what's up, man? Get to rock tonight? No, we don't got time for you to rock tonight. All right. I come back the next weekend or, a couple of weeks. I got my bag of records. Can't rock tonight. But that's how it is. It's like you're a new DJ. It's like, I've been DJing in Cincinnati for 2 years. At this one spot, people checking me out, but now I'm in a new spot. So it's like you got to start all over again. That's just how it is. It's like you just ain't going to walk up in the spot and start spinning.
Yeah.
On they equipment at that, So I'm waiting. That must have went on for a few months. But as that went on, I'm just sitting around checking out the scene. If you ever want to find out what's going on in any atmosphere and you looking to find your way, watch the person that's moving the most, that's going back and forth, that's talking to this person, and he'll go back and talk to that person, then talk to this person, talk to that person. That's the guy that's doing the business. That's the guy that's running the thing. And so I'm watching. I see that Toby is the busiest motherfucker in there.
Dude.
So I start talking with Toby. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Finally get my chance to rock. Got my records, right? I get up there. I'm so nervous. I can't even put the record on the needle. DQ, I think either DQ or DQ or Noah had to put the needle on the record for me because I was so nervous. And the thing is, I'm a house DJ. So then I never really played on a stage. I had never played on the stage in front of people. Even working at Cody's, it was my world. It's like, I don't care who's here. I'm playing my thing. But when you in that atmosphere, not now, using all my house party knowledge, I know that whatever I play, at some point, the crowd got to start moving to what I'm doing. So he put the record on. I'm up there. After watching all these cats scratching and mixing and they doing all the things they do, and here comes, Phill that's about to not do what they're doing. And that's what everybody expects.
Yeah. Well, and so every week you're talking about bringing your bag of records. Do you have the same set in your bag every week? Have you kind of sequenced this out? Okay.
No, I just bring records that I like.
Okay.
When I spin, I do a little bit more preparing now that I use it. But when I spin, I just bring the records I think is going to be cool.
Yeah.
And my set evolves as I'm playing. If you ever see me, if anybody's seen me play and you start to see like records just sitting around my set, I'm putting my set together. I'm not putting my set together. It's like, this is what I'm playing tonight. And then you go to play and nobody's moving. You gotta come up with it. You gotta play something else. It's like the thing is like when I start a set, I'm gonna play some stuff that's familiar to people so I can get their ear. Even if I'm starting off with just some stuff that I know nobody's ever heard, I might even start off, if it's a hip hop thing, I might start playing like some anything but hip hop, rock, some type of Latin music. I might play some hip hop nobody ever heard before just to get me warmed up. But after a while, you got to play some stuff that's familiar to get people to start paying attention and start bobbing. And then you start working that set. But while I'm working is the crowd. I'm trying to see what they're playing, what they listen to, what they like. Like, all right, they like this and this. I'll have a record on the, get ready to go into it. They ain't feeling it. I'll put that record back. So if you ever, and not a lot of people really see me DJ like I like to DJ, like what's really what I do. Working a club is hard. It's really hard to do that unless I can get the crowd and you start seeing these records. And I'm cultivating my set as I go. I rarely go in the house and blend this, blend that. Or my homie Top Speed, he was like, man, put them in BPM order. At least you know your blends are going to be tight. You know, I got the same speed. You know, I got my 86 BPM, and then I can go to 87. All I got to do is adjust my pitch. You know, 1 plus or minus. You never should go over 2 plus or minus. That's like the technical thing to me. I could care less. I turn that bitch up to plus 8. If the blend is good, and it's rocking, I do it. I just do what I feel. I do what I feel. I do what if the crowd is feeling it. And my other partner, DJ Prism's like, man, let's pump this thing up, man. We got to get this shit rocking. He'd have all his records play faster than they supposed to. So then Top Speed would say, no artists want to come in and hear their song played at plus 8. So you know, you make sure your stuff is right. That's one. And none of it is wrong. That's just like you playing your guitar. Like you play your guitar a certain way. Nobody's gonna come and say, hey, you need to play it that way, and then you're gonna say, okay.
Yeah. Well, it's like, is there anything cooler than familiar but different? You know, like for you to know this track, but it's -8 or it's +8. It's like, this is jarring, but I know it and I'm comfortable with that. You know, it's like you need that niche quality to it.
Yeah.
So how long do you think you spun with the Animal Crackers that night?
Until they told me to stop. I don't even remember. I don't even remember what I played. I just know. I mean, at the end of the set, they was all just standing there. When I was done, they all gave me dap and hugged me. It's like, yo, Philly, you killed it. I have no idea what I did.
That's awesome.
And
were you watching Tobot bounce back and forth during your set, or was he kind of like chilling out watching?
No, I have no idea what anybody was doing. Because it's like when I get into a groove, two things that I've been like this, two things. I curate my set as I go. You start seeing all these records around me. After a while, you see me just start DJing with one hand, because if I'm really feeling it, I won't have any headphones on, because now, I'll have my headphones on, but I'm mixing with my feet. I'm starting to feel, it's just like when you playing your guitar, and after a while, when you finish, you have no idea what you did, but you know by the crowd's reaction that you killed it. It's like that with me. It's like after a while, the vibrations is what I'm doing. Instead of listening to, like if I'm listening to the record, I'm not blending with my ear. The only thing I'm getting is my cue point. Boom, boom. It's coming up through my legs. And I'm starting to feel the crowd's already moving. I ain't even into it yet. That's why I'm just used to playing for so long that I don't even get into it till about 2 hours into the set. Hour and a half into the set. That first hour, I'm just playing to get the crowd, trying to see what the crowd's into, so I can start doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I just can't jump into, I like this, I like that. That's cool. But really, how I like to DJ, it's like 4 hours. I like to play like 4 hours. And then once I get it out of my system, I'm ready. It's like, all right, I'm done. And
yeah.
By then, records all over the place. A whole set of vinyl is around my turntables. Shit's flew everywhere in the back. All my crates, everything is out of control.
It's peaceful putting it back, No,
I just put it all back, and then when I get home, I'll put them back, but it's really it's in the moment type thing.
Yeah. Whenever people don't get to know that flow state in their day-to-day lives, like when you forget about what you're doing, you're just feeling that tempo, moving on to the next thing that feels right.
Yeah.
You're hitting
but
that.
It's like when you start feeling that bass through your legs up to your body, and all you find is that cue point. When I'm mixing, if I'm mixing off the kick drum, get my kick drum started, I don't even listen to the blend. I just I just bring it over, bring it in. If I want to stop this record, you know, I might cut, scratch, and fade it out. Next song. I find my cue point. I find my cue point, but I'm blending with my body. It's like I'm blending. It's just it's just all one thing at that point.
Yeah.
It is a super cool feeling that it don't happen all the time, but when it does happen, it's amazing.
I think that's like the truest expression of like being a musician. Like, I don't want to worry about what or why I'm doing it. I just want to feel that I'm doing it and let it come as it does.
And you know to get to that point, it's a God-given gift. Not everybody can. Not everybody can get to that point. You know, being a musician or anybody that's creating. I've heard painters talk about that. I've heard painters particularly because my brother Ray, he draws. If you've seen any of my art, any of the artwork that I'll put out, it's my brother that does it. When he draws, he just draws what's coming out of him. He doesn't restrict what he's drawing. It's like he have an idea. So, and we've had some of our best ideas together, and this show supposed to be dope if you had this, or, I've drawn like two. We've designed, and when I say we've designed it, I just come up with some stick figures or an idea. He's the artist. Like, it'd be cool if, I got this Devin the Dude thing, but, I want this to represent. So he came, so I had a Devin the Dude show, but I had just gotten in touch with Junie through social media. I was like, man, it's like nobody really repping. So I want this poster to represent Junie Morrison, but it's a Devin the Dude poster. That's all we talked about. And whatever he came up with, he came out with a dope poster, blah, blah, blah. But even he is like, when he draws what's coming out of him with some type of focus in mind, but not to where that the focus is so focused that nothing's flowing out of him. It's just some, it's a straight line thought.
Yeah. I always tell people, like, the craft is like, it's that first 2 hours of the set. Or it's the days that you don't feel the inspiration and you do the work. Because in the days where the inspiration's coming and the work just happens, it's like, well, that's why you put your hours in,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, then working with that, after I had that moment with the Animal Crackers, they invited me, and then I just found, I said, we start talking and telling them, I said, I did this, did that, and we do this and that. So I found my spot, and when we was running together, I would open for them. I can't do what they do. They can't do what I do. But we came together. It's like, all right, this would be cool if you open, warm up the show, talk, whatever you're gonna do, and then and then we take over the set. So that's what we did for a few years. It was dope. I love them cats, man. They gave me an opportunity to be part of the hip hop scene, and then I found my way. I did what I do, and then I was able to make friends. I was able to help. I was able to do so. What they needed as a group was somebody to handle their music business stuff and the records. So I guess I think they had Fat Beats was distributing their records, their first record, maybe their second record. But then like all those connections sort of faded off because nobody was really handling it. So I was able to help them sell like the records that they had. I was able to cut a few more deals to get their records in other places out in L.A. Got it moving around. So I was able to help them. Animal Crackers as a group, I was able to help.
Was that the first time you stepped out of, like, you find your spot and then you kind of move into the next spot you're needed? Is this the first time you're playing management?
I don't know if I was managing. I was just doing, I guess it was a management in a way, but whatever they needed. It's like I learned screen printing early on when I was at Ligosa. My first group that I had a manager position was this group called Stitch. And even then, I had no idea what I was dealing with. Because I knew Paul's brother was into music, but then the lead singer, Johnny Hodge, which actually is one of the #1 Northern Kentucky real estate agents. I just had to put that in for Johnny.
Hook the man up.
And peace to Jackson. They was like, yo. They was just out of high school. I think one was still in high school when I met Johnny. Johnny found out that I was working at Ligosa, so he's like, yo, man, I got a band. We want to record. I was like, well, let me see what I can do. I was sort of back and forth with Ligosa at that time. And they said, I said, how y'all going to be a band and y'all have no T-shirts or nothing? That's how people, they was like, well, you're a manager, you figure it out. So I was like, well, you got a point there. So what I ended up doing, I went around almost to every screen printing shop in Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, and everybody's giving me these ridiculous prices. Like, hey, it's going to cost you a $10 shirt. This is in the 90s. That was really crazy price back then. That's pretty normal now.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like, one, I didn't have a lot of money. They didn't have a lot of money. I knew those prices wasn't, the prices wasn't right. So then I ended up at this one shop, Fred Puckett's shop. Fred was like, he just started laughing. I was like, I want to get these T-shirts done for my band. I said, but these prices that people are giving me are ridiculous. And he just looked at me and laughed. He said, no, it don't cost that much. Come in here for a minute. So he brought me into his shop. He said, see all this stuff? And for some reason or another, Fred just sort of took me under his wing. He was like, it don't cost that much. This is how you do it. It's like, this costs this costs that. I mean, he showed me the business. He taught me the business of screen printing.
On like a first entry? Like the first time you met this guy, he walked you back there?
Yeah. I don't know why. No, and then after he walked me back there, he walked me out to his office, pulled out this bottle of whiskey. He's like, let's talk. So we're talking. I don't know why he did that, but he did. And he was like, this is where you get T-shirts from. These are the warehouses where these shirts come from. This is where you get supplies from. It's like he's teaching me all of this stuff. He's just telling me, and I go out and. So what I learned to be, as far as a screen printer is concerned, is a middleman. I would tell people I was a screen printer, but I was a middleman for him. So I was bringing it. So I'm bringing in business. So he's down now.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what I'm learning is the screen printing business.
And when you say the middleman, like you're like, all right, he's gonna do the printing. I'm just gonna go pick up wholesale shirts. Looks like a happy dude.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like a friend off the rip kind of thing.
So he was like, so he told me, he was telling, every time I would come over there, he would tell me something else about the music, about screen printing. I had all kind of clients. And I would just tell them I was a screen printer. And I would take down all the information, have my order sheet, take the orders. I'd take it to Fred. I would order the shirts. I'll pick up the shirts, take them to Fred. I would get their designs. If the designs need worked on, Fred would work on me, show me how to work on them. He would print them, pack them up, take them to him, get paid. And this went around for a couple of years. And I went back and forth with Fred for like 10 years.
So this became like a side hustle in addition to all the other things you're doing at this time.
Yeah. And I'm getting T-shirts for my band. I'm getting T-shirts for other bands. But the thing is not only did I cultivate a friend, he was willing to be generous with his information. He wasn't teaching me. Every time we went over there, we just was talking. He just said, hey, come over here, sit down, let me show you. it wasn't that. When we sat down, he pulled out a bottle. We talking about everything. You know, he was, you know, he had retired from the railroad, and he had a sporting goods business. He got rid of sporting goods business, and he just started to do screen printing. His whole claim to fame was he was the first person to sell Nikes in this region.
No
and Nike,
shit.
and so then the thing was, you know, all the teams would go to sporting goods shops to get their equipment. Nike was sort of like an equipment thing. It wasn't, you couldn't buy Nikes on the shelf at the time. You know, it was sort of a Adidas, Converse world at the time. He cut a deal with this Nike salesman. He said, I'll take these Nikes in my store in the sporting goods. I said, but nobody else can buy Nikes for 5 years except for me. So he said, I'll cut you this deal, but in return, no, you can't sell Nikes to anybody else but this sporting goods store for 5 years.
What year you think this is?
I have no idea.
Okay. Dude, that is wild.
But the thing is, so he capitalized on that alone and brought Nikes into this region. So all of these teams are coming to his sporting goods stores as Nikes began to get popular.
That's insanity.
Fucking insane.
And why that dude's like, all right, I'm gonna go into screen printing. You know, it's like,
well, it was like the last thing that he wanted to deal with. He sort of got tired of running the sporting goods store. One, because he didn't have to, because he was retired so everything he was doing was something that he was passionate about. Because he had already retired from the railroads. He got his dope.
yeah.
So everything he was doing, he was passionate about. So then he got, you know, after he finished with the sporting goods thing, he still liked doing the screen printing thing. So that's why he was doing that.
It sounds like an interesting cat. I mean,
He was an interesting cat, but it's like anytime someone is generous with information, that's the essence of somebody really caring about you. Because he could have just said, yeah, just bring the shirts, I'll get them done for you. That could have been the end of it. I'd have never learned screen printing. It's like that now, that is one of my ways I make money for my family. I got my own screen printing shop now. It's at my crib. It's, you know, compared to all my other partners is in the screen printing business. I've helped people. I've helped build or guided 3 or 4 people to build their own screen printing shop. And 3 out of the 4 of them has their own business now. And if someone's generous with their information, that's the ultimate way of showing that you care for somebody. Because not only are you telling them what they might want to know at the time, you're also giving them information that they can take care of themselves for the rest of their life. It's like what Fred taught me was something that I've been able to carry up till now. I'm still doing it.
That's incredible, man. And you never realize, like, you can kind of sense when someone is being an open book to you in that kind of way. But what guides them to do that? To instead of being like, yeah, I can do this for you, let me show you how to do this. Like, you know,
yeah,
that's just, you know, God shining a light on, this might be something you need. So let's make sure you got it, you know?
Yeah, and you know, you can look at it 2 ways. I'm going to help you, but I'm going to go show you so much so you don't take money away from me. And the music business is very much like that. You show somebody so much, but when it comes down to this is how you really make the money, that information ain't flying very far. It's like it's sort of like, it's a gatekeeper's attitude. It's like, I'll show you this, you know. I'll show you how to make this plastic, but you got to find the lens on your own, even though I know how these lenses are made.
Like, I'll get you so far to the point where you still need me for that part.
Yeah.
So at this time, are you really launching a screen printing business, or you're like, I'm gonna work with Fred until I'm done working with Fred, and I'm gonna do the management thing?
No. Fred, I was just in and out with Fred. Like, I'll go see Fred. After a while, I'll just go and we just hang out. That's how our friendship was so genuine. That picture was at his house. When I went to visit him, we was doing stagehand work down in Louisville. And I called him, and I hadn't seen him in like 10 years. I said, Fred, man, I'm coming back from Louisville. And he lives in Sparta. I said, I'm coming back from Louisville, man. I want to come see you. I ain't seen you. Oh, gosh, how you doing? Yeah, come on by. I'm home, man. We sat and talked for 6 hours. I didn't get home till like 3 in the morning. But he was just one of them, one of the people that you come across in life that's just generous with information. Jerry Lane was like that. Mark Ligosa was like that. I've been lucky in life for people to be open like that. Even in the engineering thing, I came across other inspectors that would share information with me. I work with foremans that were like, hey, what's the elevation on this? What's the elevation? I said, I don't know how to do elevation. Come over here, let me show you. Teach me how to shoot elevations. He said, if you got 1 point, you can do anything around here. Like this point, from this point, everything is measured from. From this point, you shoot this and that, the other. That way you'll know where we're at, and you'll know where you need to put your information so we can move forward. So if from an engineering standpoint, different people would, we all end up being friends, at least on the job, because that's the only time we've seen each other, because everybody goes in different directions. But during those times, people were open with information for me to be able to do the job I need to do for them, as opposed to, well, if you don't know how to do it, bring somebody else out here. That type of information I've used now that when I bought my house. All that civil engineering information that I've learned has kept me from spending way more money than I need to. I've learned how, I can take care of things myself instead of having to call somebody else to do it. A lot of civil engineering and owning a house. You know what I'm saying? So the best thing you can do, anybody, is to share whatever you know to help that next person. If they're gonna take money from you or whatever, you think somebody's gonna get one step ahead of you, it could be like that. But if you really want to show people, it's just showing love. Really, is sharing information. Be open with information and let them run with it. If somebody end up making more money than you, there's more power to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it really is a love language in that kind of way. Do you mind passing me that coffee real quick? Thanks, Blair.
Yeah, man, it's just so cool. And like with the animal crackers, I got friends for life. Cats that I never would have met otherwise. I had it's like the things they've asked me to do. Some of them I didn't even know how to do, but I knew that I knew other people that knew how to do it.
Yeah, well, I think Toby's one of those guys too, where it's like Toby will teach you how to do whatever, but it's hard to grasp everything that Toby knows how to do. He's one of those cats where it's just like you are an endless well of really strange information. He's a great drummer. He's a great DJ. He's a great engineer. You can do all that stuff, but he's a good songwriter too.
Yeah.
I remember him talking to me about making that first Animal Crackers record. And he's like talking about the equipment they're using in the garage. And he's like, man, I could have gotten electrocuted to death at any point in time the way that we were rigging this stuff together.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, that's what makes it special, is the little bit of risk that you run. Like, it makes that relationship special because there's a little bit of risk that they might come for your business in that, but that love language of just going for it, regardless what the constraints are, you know?
Yeah.
So how did it kind of your place in the management of music really opens up into the events world at some point? When did you start to kind of dabble in that?
With the animal, I'd say I guess from high school, just first learning how to read crowds and playing music that moves people, to continuing to have house parties, which it really was like my dorm rooms in New York, then in the Philippines, then in Montana. All my DJing out in the Philippines, I DJed at a club called the East Coast from 85, 86. I DJed in Longapo City, which was the Navy base. Air Force Base was here. Longapo was on Subic Bay, which was going into the South China Sea. Where the Air Force Base was, had a crew called the Do Crew. We all wore do-rags, had matching suits, that type of thing. You know, we was, a hip-hop thing. But it was a handful of clubs. It wasn't a lot of clubs that played hip-hop. It wasn't really a call for it. So it was one club that did, but then I never got an opportunity to DJ at that place. So I would go to the Navy base, and the Navy base, the Navy cats that would come off the ship, they bringing music from all over the world, mixtapes, all over the world. So when I would go to the East Coast, that's where all the cats that was into it hung out. So I was hanging out the East Coast, getting all these mixtapes. The other cats, I was giving them mixtapes. And my mixtapes was like compilations. I didn't even DJ on them. They was just compilations of songs. And when I put them together, I had in mind the same way that I would DJ. It's like, this is a good first song. This is a good second song. By the end of this first side, people should be in this type of mood. Turn it on side B, it should be this and this, and that. You know, that's my thought process of making my tapes. A lot of the tapes that I would get was mixtapes off the radio, and I had a bunch of mixtapes from the radio. From when I would go to the cities, I would always have my boombox with me, just recording off the radio. So I had those. So that's sort of how I made friends with the Navy cats. And then I started DJing, and I DJed the same way. I didn't do a lot of mixing and scratching. I just blended and just pretty much dropped. Just song playing, next, and you know, and that's what I did. I opened for Kool Herc, and Kool Herc did the same damn thing. He was like, just dropping, ain't even mixing. Yeah, he just dropping like bam, oh, bam, oh, he not going back and forth. He ain't playing breaks. He just dropping tracks. And I was the same way at the East Coast. Oh man. But the thing was I had records nobody else had, because my brother would send them to the Philippines. He was I guess one of his friends in Dayton had a record store, and he was helping with a record store, whatever, and he would send me boxes like Mantronics. I remember Mantronics particularly because that was like one of my favorite things, but it was that era, 80, 84, 85, 86, 87. That's when I was in the Philippines, 84 to 87. So anything was dropping right through there. My brother was sending to. Nobody had the music I had. Man.
That's wild to be getting crates shipped to you. Like, what's that cost at that point
I don't know. Hey, whatever it was, my brother was paying for it.
He's making a sacrifice.
Yeah, I love my brother for that.
Oh, man, that's...
And I was playing music nobody had. The only other way I was hearing that music was from the mixtapes that the Navy Cats was bringing in. And that was my thing. I just had music nobody had. So when I came in, when I was playing, it wasn't like, yo, Phill playing. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
I didn't even have that name yet.
No shit.
Me that. I didn't name me that. Didn't name me.
When do you think that came around? What were you going by before?
I think it probably just dropped at some drunken party.
Okay, cool.
Somebody probably called me that.
Yeah.
And it just, that sounds cool.
What were you going by before?
I didn't have a DJ name.
Okay.
Just
full name, Jonathan Phillips?
No, just Phill.
Just Phill.
I didn't have a name. When I DJ'd in the Philippines, I didn't have a DJ name. I just show up, kicking it with the DJ, with the house DJ, have records. I got one picture of me DJing with Franco was the DJ, and you'll see in the back a fucking just a line of crates.
That's sick.
That I would carry up.
Where could you store these things at when you're on a base?
Where would I store them?
Yeah. Are you just sliding these under your bed at the end of the night? Like, do you got much space?
No, I had a car. I put them in my car.
Oh,
I had a car. I had a '67 Chevy Chevelle.
That's
2-door.
sick.
That motherfucker was fly as fuck.
Oh my God, dude.
All of it. Well, the Do Crew, man.
That's cold.
The thing is about the Do Crew, we ran the streets. It was sort of like a gang, but we just had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. I'm not going to get into the particulars. Me and you can do that off the air.
Yeah.
But what we would do is we all had jobs. Like, I was the music guy, and I was the music guy, and I was the one that would talk to whoever was in charge. One of them was the girl guy. He was like the mouthpiece. He talked to girls. The other guy was the strong guy. He made sure nobody messed with us. The other guy was the guy that orchestrated everything around us. It was 5 of us.
Man.
We all had jobs, and it was we go on a do run. A do run was when it's like we would be at the crib. We had one guy that designed our suits for it. This guy was a Pearl, Gerald Purnell. He was a clothing. I don't know why he was in the Air Force. He was a clothing designer. He would sit down and draw. He's like, man, this is what we're gonna wear. He would design our suits for us. Then we would go down to the tailor shop. All of us would get our clothes tailored, from shoes to the top. And we would go out. All of us had cars. I had a '67 Chevy Chevelle. My other partner had a Mustang. My other partner had a Camaro. My other partner had a Ford Fairlane, which was the worst out of all of them. And we rolled down the street. All the kids, that's the Do Crew. We rolled down the street, park our cars, give the kids some money. Like, yo, make sure nobody mess with our cars. We go and had a boom box. We go into a place. It was 6 in the morning, 6 in the evening. It didn't matter. We tell mama, son, yo, Do Crew here, just be cool with our people. All right. We come in, we turn off the jukebox. We turn on the boom box with my mixtapes in them. Turn up as loud as it could get. We shut the place down. And it was our bar. People would come in, do some dumb shit. I mean, this is like dumb college shit.
Yeah.
Yo, man, how you doing? It'd be like some old retiree or something, or another Air Force member or something. Yo, I said, I bet you, if I could put my fist in my mouth, you have to buy drinks for all my homies. You can't do that. I put my fist. You see how big my hand is? And I would do it. It's just silliness. It's just silliness looking back at it. But it was like, I'm 20 years old, 19 years old.
Dude, that's awesome.
21 years old, you know what I'm saying? I would do it. They buy drinks. I would tell a cat, we drank Red Horse.
What's Red Horse?
Red Horse is a beer that came in like a 23-ounce bottle. it would be considered malt liquor here in the United States, but over there they called it extra strong beer.
Okay.
And it was the type of thing, I don't know how they brewed it, but you could drink one and you'd be done for the night. And the next time you go out, we drink 10 or 12 of them and never feel anything.
Oh my God.
This is over a time period.
Yeah. There's just there's a consistency.
Yeah, so it was sort of like that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we drank Red Horse, like we had these rules. It was silliness, man.
Man.
It was so fun. So I would do stuff like, yo, I would say I could drink 6 Red Horses. This is after I already done drank like 5 shots and whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I would tell a guy, just anybody, I bet you I can drink 6 Red Horses in 30 minutes. And if I do, you have to buy us drinks and anything else we want for the rest of the night or until you leave. You can't do that. It's all right. I said, give me 6 Red Horses over here. I drink one. Just sit there and watch till. I said, I'll start at whatever, top of the hour. So top of the hour, I drink one. 5 minutes later, I drink another one. 5 minutes later, I drink another one. 5 minutes, I drink another one. And then it'll be half hour.
You let them sweat it out and you regiment it at 5 minutes just to get close enough, you know?
Well, that 5th and 6th one was tough.
Yeah.
But I would do it. And they would just sit there and watch me. And all my partners just sitting there just looking at this guy, laughing at this guy because they know we about to take his money.
Do you have any pictures of y'all in the suits?
Yeah.
Man, I feel like those have got to be the strangest memories because you're so removed from everything else like you normally know in your life. You're in a different country. You got this like really tight group that's decked out to the nines, looking clean as hell, and you got your spot in the group. Man, it's like what a crazy way to live out your early 20s.
You know, that was fun. Looking back at it was crazy. It turned out not to be all fun as you move on in life. That was fun. The end result is not so great.
Yeah.
Because I had a beautiful, beautiful girlfriend, Lolita, beautiful, beautiful girlfriend. I ended up getting, she got pregnant before I left. Before I left the Philippines, she got pregnant, but I couldn't turn down the orders because I had a nuclear clearance. And the nuclear base in Montana was short on security police. So I couldn't turn down the orders because they needed more security police. During that time, went to Montana. She had my first son. There's a lot more into that.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, the only thing I got of my first son is 2 pictures.
That's heavy.
He's here in the United States. His mom got in touch with me a few years back. Because I didn't, what I should have done as a responsible parent was to go back to the Philippines and bring her and him back here to the United States with me and be a family. That I did not do. Now, he thinks I'm a fucking asshole. His mom know I'm not. He grew up thinking that I didn't care about him. He grew up thinking that I abandoned him. To this day, he wants nothing to do with me, which is fine. I know he's safe. He's in the Air Force. He's married and has a family. He's healthy as a horse. And he's fine. And that's all I can take from that.
Yeah.
So through all of those stories, all the fun that I had, I'm lucky to live this long to at least know that my first son is doing well.
Yeah.
Then when it's just a lot of oddness.
Yeah. Well, I imagine there's so much emotionally to sort through in that, and I don't have any kids. I watch what my parents have done with their families and the things that I know. And I'd imagine the hardest thing as a parent is letting go of being the end-all, be-all for a child that you're taking care of, or letting go of the things that you can't change in their upbringing.
Yeah.
So to know as much as you do, but also to be limited on access to change things.
Yeah, and that's what I should have did. I had a partner, one of the cats that was in the Duke crew actually. I got a chance to run across him again some years later, like in the 90s, when I was traveling around. And he did that. He went back, got his wife. I don't even know if they had kids at the time. They might have, might not have. He went back, got her, and we talked, met her. He ended up being a preacher. And we talked. He's like, yeah. Philly,
what was his spot in the Dew crew before he became?
He was the overseer.
Okay, cool.
Ran stuff.
That seems
BJ.
like the right guy to be the preacher.
Yeah, BJ. He was the overseer of all of us and make sure everything was cool.
Yeah.
And he was like, Philly, man, you made the decision that you made, and you got to live with them, good or bad. But remember that, God's always going to love you, and as long as you never had no ill intentions, and you did the best you could, and you made is that you can't really stress it. It's going to fall down the way it's going to fall down. He said you just pray for what you got, and you just live with that. How you live with it is up to you. How you live with it is up. He told me how you live with it is up to you. You can let it drag you down. You can live with it and look at the good parts of it and pray that whatever is the negative part of it would change. But if you die tomorrow, that's what it is. You just pray to God to take it off your shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jonathan James Williams that's my homie. Even though all I got is 2 pictures. Well, actually, I got more than 2 pictures. I got 2 pictures, baby pictures of him. But then I got some more pictures that his mom sent me. And his mom is married. They've had a great life, so that's all I can ask for,
Yeah.
That's weird that this conversation ended up
No, man. I think when you...
That's, out of all of that, that's, you do all of these things. You never know how you're going to affect somebody else's life. And the decisions, it's like, well, this is a responsible thing to do, but I'm going to go do this. I need to do that. And you always think you're going to get back to it. You never get back to it. You rarely get back to it. Like when you're young, it's like, yeah, man, this is great. Well, I'm going to go do this. All right, yeah, it's going to be here when I'm ready to get back to it. You never get back to it. It's like you got to take advantage of that moment and get the best out of it. That way, when you look back, you don't have to. You can look back at it. Whether it's a good experience, a bad experience, no experience. It's like it's really, as time moves forward, it's really hard to go back.
Yeah.
Just like you seen a guitar, you like, man, that guitar is dope. Whatever, you get it, you play it at the shop or whatever. Yeah. I would save some money, get it. You go back and it's gone.
Yeah. Well, I feel that way I felt that way about my wife, where it was just like this person walked into my life, and I expected to do that chapter a decade from now. I didn't want to get married at the age I did and be in that. I wanted just to focus on this one thing.
Yeah.
But I for some reason, I felt a very strong awareness that this was going to be the one that got away if I let her get away.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that there was that call to action, that moment.
Yeah.
And I try to live by some words of wisdom my mom gave me. Just like, you just live your life doing the next right thing. You can't change if you misstepped in the last one.
Yeah, you can't change it.
Yeah.
Nah.
So you get your nuclear clearance on your first bit of like technical training in Rome, New York. Is that what happened?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what they. That was part of the job. So you had to learn it.
Yeah. Was that freaky as hell? I mean, as a kid.
Well, knowing that a nuclear weapon is like 100 feet away from you, and it's sitting there.
That's heavy, dude.
It's sitting there. You know what I'm saying? It ain't covered up. It's not in nothing.
That's
these
wild.
B-52s taking off, they going somewhere, and they gonna be used. They don't take off. They don't take off
for nothing.
just to come back with the weapons on them.
No, man, that's unfathomable. As a young man to be standing by that and just like,
Yeah, but the thing is, it was more unfathomable that you're gonna be out there in 0-degree weather, cold,
walking back and forth.
walking back and forth.
When you got nothing to do like that, where's your mind go? Are you listening to music
Everywhere.
okay? You just,
What the fuck am I doing here? Why am I standing here? You really don't understand it. It's like I do now, but you really don't understand like the how big your job really is. It's like nothing's going on out here. I'm in Rome, New York. There's nobody's around. It's like, why am I standing here? It's like nobody's coming. Like, why am I standing here? But the thing is if nobody's there, somebody will come. So they had open house every year at the base. And it was a group that was against nuclear weapons called the Plowshare 9, something like that, Plowshare 7, something. So they were in that part of New York, and we had an open house, and they had already done the research on it, and they said we're probably going to have protesters at this open house. So, just be prepared for that. We riot training and all of that. So, in your mind's like, yeah, all right, that's cool, but you don't think nothing's going to happen. So, everybody's on base. They're pushing their baby carriages, holding babies. But what they want to do is set up, make a scene to protest nuclear weapons. So what they ended up doing, they're carrying like this pig blood in with the baby in the carriage. They got bottles of pig blood and Lord knows what else in these baby carriages. They got it on them. And it's so, they got signs, in like the baby, in the bags. And so at some point, they say, okay, this is what we're going to do. So they start throwing blood on the plane. Now they're not in the alert area. They're not in the nuclear area. Open house. They line up a bunch of planes and everybody come out and see them. That type of thing. So they throwing blood, bringing out signs, whatever they chanting, and we got to handle that.
yeah. Dude, that's crazy. That's so it's so graphic, but also out there, and like you're sneaking it in baby carriages, like.
Yeah, like strollers and shit, and they're throwing, and it's surreal because it's like this is something you always see on TV, but you're the person that has to deal with it. You have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And then the gravity of what you're doing starts to make more sense. it don't particularly make sense because, you know, you sit in classes and you out there freezing or getting burnt up, you know, with a sergeant that's coming up and roll down the window about this much. Yo, how you all right? You need something? In below zero weather, you got so much equipment on. If somebody tried to, you cannot shoot that gun. It's so cold. Either your hands can't do it, or the weapon can't do it, or you got too many clothes on. You got huge boots on. Ain't nothing happening, but you there. You know, that type of thing. It's like, why am I here? So when that happened, to me, it's like, all right, now I know why I'm here. So then it was a little bit easier to deal with it, to deal with like all the stuff that they put you through to have to do that job.
Yeah.
You know.
When you guys, you finished that time in your career, when did you start to like touch down and kind of be like, you know, similar to what you're doing for Bootsy the other day? It's like, I'm just here to make sure that everything goes smooth with you. It's like, you know people, you know how to keep people excited, but also like, hey, you're going to behave well when you get near, you know, this man or this situation. When did you first start getting those calls?
Toby again. It was a point in Bootsy's career where he put out Funk Capital of the World. That's that first solo that he did. And he hadn't done a solo album in a while.
Is that the first time it's on Bootsy Records?
I don't know. I think he'd done something before that, cool, as far as Bootzilla Records is concerned. But he had asked Toby to put together a tour team for him to start touring. Toby told me I was the first person that he called because he knew he could depend on me to do whatever. Whatever he needed, Toby knew he could turn to me and say, yo, I need this done. And that's sort of how our relationship cultivated when I started running with the Animal Crackers. You know, all the guys could ask me anything, you know, DQ, Mike, Top Speed. Top Speed came in a little later, but Top Speed, Noah, any of them cats. If they asked me to do something for them, I would do it. If I couldn't do it for them, I could figure out a way or point them in the right direction. So Toby asked me, you know, do you want to be a part of, you know, we going on tour, would you be a part, you want to be a part of this? And then it was Paul and AB, you know, he put together that team. And I was part of the stage crew. So we was the roadies, and I was the keyboard tech. So my job was a keyboard tech. It ended up, you know, once we started on the road, my job was a keyboard tech. So I had Bernie Worrell set on this side, Razors on this side. That was my job.
That's crazy, dude.
When we loaded in our equipment, my first job was to set up those two stations.
How much time you spent around Bernie, man?
Actually, I'd worked with Bernie some years back with my partner, Paul. Paul called me. Paul knew how he could depend on me for anything. Back from when we started at Cody's at the hockey fight night. So Paul said, yo, I got this opportunity to work with Bernie Worrell. Would you come to New York with me to A&R this album project opportunity that I got? It was me and Chris, and I can't remember Chris's last name. He was in Shag, guitar player for Shag. I need to go we're going to be in New York I don't think we was there for like 7-10 days or something, to A&R this project called Baby Elephant that Bernie was doing with Prince Paul of, Producer De La Soul and all of that. Like, all right, so our job was we was trying to generate some interest in this project, try to curate some money for the project, and oversee the recording of the project, at least for this time being, to make sure these, things go off well. So we went to New York, me, Chris, and Paul. We stayed at the Chelsea Hotel. So and we stayed in one of the rooms, either Hendrix's room or one of the Beatles' rooms.
That's so fun.
I can't remember. But we stayed at the Chelsea Hotel, so we was hanging out at the Chelsea. It was just to be there was dope.
Yeah,
but
to be there with
but the
Bernie.
thing is like the Chelsea is a hotel, but people live, like in New York, it's a hotel, but like people live in the hotel. It's like not only is a hotel, is people live there.
Yeah, it's an apartment complex. It goes
It's an
weekly.
apartment complex that's a hotel. That's a New York thing. And so we there, and our job is to oversee this thing. It was our first. we got to go to. So we was there, and we was doing. I met one of the guys that we had a meeting with to try to curate some money for this project was the guy that started Woodstock, the guy that did Woodstock.
No shit.
Me and Paul and I go to his office. I'm oblivious to like who this guy is, outside of knowing his name and knowing Woodstock. We go to his office, and we're like, we're doing this project with Bernie Burrell. We explain to him who Bernie is. He knows who Bernie is. We're trying to get this, we need X amount of dollars to, to get this project done. And me and Paul just talking mad shit. Just, we're just talking, and he's asking us like, yo, you have this, have that. He's like, yeah, we got this. Some of it we knew what he was talking about. Some of it we didn't, but we was like, we giving him our pitch.
Yeah.
We do this with like 2 or 3 different people. All of them big name people, but to me, they was just people. I had no fear to get our point across, to get this money for Bernie's project. We go to these meetings. Some of it comes out, some of it don't. And then, so the day comes. We got to go out to the studio, Prince Paul's studio. Prince Paul and what's Prince Paul's other cat? Can't remember. He passed away. I can't remember.
Those are the things too, man, where it's like if you can't reach for it, you won't get it.
So we get on the subway, all the way to the end of the subway. Paul knows where we're going. He got the address of where we're going. We got the map, paper map, Jamie. But we have no idea where we're going. We know where we're going because of the map, but we have no idea where we're going. We get to the end of the subway run. I'm like, cool, we're here. We get out, look around. It sort of looked like Dayton a little bit. It's like, well, we got to walk. We walked through like 3 or 4 different parts of. We weren't in Brooklyn. I don't know where we was at. We walked through, and the Spanish music playing. There's people speaking Spanish. We walked through sort of nice ghetto-y looking area. We just walked through a really nice area, and we finally get to this address. It's a boarded up house, unkept yard. What the fuck is this? we about to go into? So we're supposed to meet Bernie at this address. And we're standing outside, knock on the door, and man, I wish I could think of his name. God almighty. So he answers the door. What's up, man? I said, yeah, man, just dapping up, whatever. Going, this place is fucking immaculate.
Inside the boards?
Inside the house is a fucking immaculate Prince Paul, I imagine one of Prince Paul's studios. Me, Paul, and Chris. We walk into this shack, and it's like this studio, this laid out studio. And I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
Look, and I can't think of his name. He's in there. yo, man, you know, it's a studio. Yeah, so Bernie's supposed to be here, you know, 1 o'clock, whatever time it was.
Was it Don
Newkirk. So Don Newkirk, that's who's at the studio. So he's in there getting stuff ready, turntables, keyboards, drum machines. Like go in the kitchen, if I remember right, there was a drum kit set up in the kitchen. You know, upstairs is just stuff. Dope as hell, right? Samplers, you know. So Don was like, yeah, Prince Paul will be here in a little bit. You know, I said, well, Bernie gonna be here. He's coming from a meeting. He'll be here in a little while. So Paul is doing what he's doing, making sure Bernie's gonna get there. He's making calls. And then the A&R cat from the label, you know, he's gonna come later. And we sitting there, you know, I'm just blown away as I'm even there. And then Prince Paul shows up. He's cool. He sits around. He starts getting stuff. It's like it really wasn't a whole lot of BSing around. Like Prince Paul show up. Don Newkirk already got everything set up. Paul comes in. He sits down. Turn on tracks. He listens to tracks. They start working. You know, I'm just a fly on the wall at that point. And then, you know, we go outside. Bernie show up. Bernie goes, what's up, Bernie? What's up, man? Yo, Bernie. Because I had met Bernie at Ripley's when he was touring with Burner Real and the Woo Warriors. So I had met Bernie a couple of years before then at Ripley's. He signed, you know, I'm a fan at that point. He signed my record and all of that. So we talked about that. So me and Bernie had already, you know, we already at least seen each other's face. So Bernie, he's happy because I don't know if he met the other guy, but he recognized me, so that put him at ease. He goes in, you know, Newkirk already had the shit going. Prince Paul is already starting to work. Bernie comes in, you know, Moog, the keyboard here, keyboard there, electric piano. He just goes in, says hi to everybody, sits down, and they just start working. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
But to be on a fly on the wall in those kind of situations,
yeah,
too.
Check out the Baby Elephant album.
Cool. So you met Bernie before, like.
So fast forward with Bootsy. That was my job. The band was rehearsing and stuff. They was rehearsing. The whole band's in. I think they rehearsed for like a week before we hit the road.
Over at Bootsy's place that he's at now. Okay.
You know, they rehearsing, getting ready. It's our first gig is in L.A. So drive a road, you know, bus, go all the way out to L.A. I set it up. I wasn't hip really I had toured, but my only touring experience up till then was with Stitch. And touring with hip hop cats. So hip hop cats, you tour hip hop cats, you know, you got 2 turntables, a mixer, you know, some microphones, maybe some other personal stuff. You know, that's it. But this is now we got a 9-10-piece band.
And you're a keyboard tech.
And I'm the keyboard tech. But I got all that experience from Ligosa.
Word.
So I'm already hip to how to, you know, I'm a sound engineer, ain't no problem.
Yeah.
But that was like one of the most honorable jobs I ever had was to work with Bernie and work with Razor.
Between those two is such a wild place to be, man.
Yeah. And so then, you know, from that, Bernie was like, how you gonna be a keyboard tech? You don't know how to play keyboard. He said, let me show you something. So he taught me like one little ditty to play. He said, play this on every keyboard. Make sure it's working. I got it from there.
That's so cool, though, man. So now when you see a piano, you can walk up, yeah, Barry taught me this lick, and then run that down.
Yeah, you know, and Razor was the same way. He's like, this clavinet ain't playing right. He looks at me, I look at him. The clavinet ain't playing, this razor. Clavinet ain't playing right. Let me show you how to do it. He opens, razor opens up the clavinet. He's like, this is what this is. This is what powers this. You got to make sure this is working every day. If you got to repair it, you know, I know how to solder and all that stuff. If you got to solder something, this is the only place you solder. You know, blah, 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 blah. These,
dude.
So they're, again, they're completely open with information for me to be able to work with them the best I can.
Yeah.
And not only am I getting information, it's like, you know, I know what to do with the information because I have the experience. So anything I need to learn, I got a basis.
If you had to guess why so many people are so open with what they know towards you, what would you say that quality is?
Because I probably would do it without getting paid. Because I care about what I'm doing. I smile a lot. I put people at ease, but I don't do it on purpose. I just be myself. And I just be myself, and, you know, people that's cool, that's down with me, they gravitate to me. And I gravitate to people that's just cool with me. I don't seek out friendship. I don't seek out being accepted. People that's down, they gravitate to each other. Anything is negative if you have negative people around you, at some point that'll come out. Hopefully it doesn't come out at a point to where you're affected negatively. Sometimes, you know, when things happen negatively, and oh man, I never think that would happen to, you know, this cat. But they tend to weed themselves out over time. And all you have left is the people that you gravitate to. It's just like me and you, we've crossed paths several times. And when we got a chance to talk in Piqua, I wanted to make sure that you had anything and everything you needed from my job standpoint. The fact that we was able to talk and have these things in common helped us become friends. I didn't want to be friends with you because I thought you was cool, or I thought that maybe if I meet this guy, maybe he'll call me for something else. I just genuinely liked you.
I think you're very different in that, in your presence, and just in the way that you say, like, you treat people as just the person in front of you, and you're present towards that, and you smile a lot, and you give them this opportunity. Because
I like that, you know,
yeah.
That's just me.
But, you know, like, you know, the other day, and like, I talked to my wife about this afterwards. You know, like, I'm nervous about getting to shake Bootsy's hand for the first time. You know, I've loved this man's work for my whole life, but I'm standing in line, and I see you, and I get this hug from a friend where it's like, cool, that kind of put me at ease. And then Bootsy comes in, and I see you hug him the same way. And it's like to feel this level of calmness that you brought to the entire space. It's just different. And a lot of that's unteachable. A lot of it's God-given talent for charisma, for understanding, for presence in that. Mm-hmm. But when you are intentional with, you know, when you and I get together, I want to try to walk away thinking about what those things are and try to keep that more at the forefront of my mind, because I want to offer that same kindness and presence and intentionality to people when we get together.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of it, you know, when we're working in those atmospheres. Luckily for me, the majority of the people that's working have that attitude, and it shows. You know, when you're out there working, you look for somebody that gives a damn, especially if you care a lot and you want to be attention to detail. You want people around you to have that same mindset so you can do what you do the best. Especially being in a stagehand is really it's like you're there to serve, to make sure everything goes right, so that whoever you're working for don't have to think about nothing except for what they're doing, so they can give the best performance that they can. Being a roadie, it's the same attitude. It's like working for Bernie and working for Bootsy and working for Razor, which was I was touring Bootsy, but I was working for Bernie and Razor when I first started. That was my first thing, was to make sure that their keyboards worked, that they worked correctly, that whatever they wanted, they was comfortable. Before I left anything, once we got our equipment in, everybody was setting up whatever they needed to do. And then when that was working, then I could think about something else. When they came to do sound check, do you need anything else? It's like you have to really be in a service state of mind to be able to do the best you can for somebody else. You don't put anything else you don't put yourself in front of that. You really give yourself to that other person as a servant to make sure that they're cool. Because if they're cool, they're going to put on the best performance that they can. And if they put on the best performance that they can, the crowd is going to get the best experience that they paid for. And if they get the experience that they paid for and they feel like the money that they spent was well worth it, they're going to come back again. They're going to buy a record. They're going to buy a T-shirt. They're going to take pictures. They're going to wish they could do it again. It starts from the ground up. It's like if the roadies ain't cool, the musicians ain't cool. And if the musicians ain't cool, the show ain't going to come off like it's supposed to. If the show don't go off like it's supposed to, the people's not going to have the experience they're supposed to have. And if the people don't have the experience they're supposed to have, they're not going to spend the money that you need to be able to do it again.
And that kind of, that reverence for the thing from the ground up is heavy. I can't get over this visual, though, of you not playing a clavinet at all, and Razor showing you one lick and being like, it needs to play like that, and getting into the nuance of why it's that and not this, and then this is where you started to be taught how to repair a clavinet by Razor fucking Sharp. Is so funny to me, man.
Yeah, man, Razor's off the chain, man.
One of the baddest dudes ever do. I only got to see him play once with Freak Bass.
He was killer.
Oh my gosh, man.
But Razor played on that Boogie Boys album with Stroman.
No shit.
So let's go all the way with Mudbone. Bone was my homie. I worked with Bone at Ligosa. He was doing a song. I want to say, "Daddy, Don't You Walk So Fast," something like that. He was doing a remake of an album of a song, and he was calling himself Urban Cowboy, and he was shopping it in Nashville. He recorded at Ligosa. That was the first time I met a Funkadelic member.
That's crazy. And this is in Longworth, is where they had Ligosa.
This is in Longworth. People don't realize how much star power came through that studio, man.
Man, I feel like Cincinnati has so much of that, and like, as someone that loves that history.
That and Fifth Floor studio.
Fifth Floor, where was that based out of?
Fifth Floor is downtown, like in one of the corporate buildings. I would go back and forth to there, taking tapes back and forth, because we had similar clients, or Wes Boatman You know Wes?
No.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. But I would meet Wes just taking stuff in and out, in and out of his studio. But I remember the first time I went in there, and all I seen was these Emmy trophies and shit. But what Wes was writing soundtracks for, like, I want to say soap operas. And he was getting Emmys for writing tracks for soap operas. Fucking nuts.
Yeah, dude. That's like the weirdest style of musical curation.
Yeah, but I knew Wes's name from reading album covers. That's how it's like, to me, Wes Boatman was a hero, because I seen his name on so many albums, especially with Junie's albums. But he's all over all of these funk albums. So Wes was over at Fifth Floor, we was over at Ligosa. So I just went back and forth taking tapes back and forth, either mixing or he was playing on. I don't know what he was doing. I was just going back and forth between Ligosa and Fifth Floor anytime I needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was the most starstruck member of Funkadelic that you ever...
Oh, man. Bootsy.
Really?
And the second was Michael Hampton. I'd never met George Clinton, not face-to-face anyway.
Word.
Bootsy, because I got a chance to work with him. It's like my first... It wasn't the first time that I'd seen him or even been in his, been around and, doing something. It was my first time working with him. And that's why I asked him all them silly questions, like, have you ever worked with Junie? And he was, he didn't go, he never went into like some stories or nothing. He was like, yeah. And he would start laughing, probably looking at me like, man, this guy's nuts. And he's working for me. But he never, that's what was cool. He never was like, yo, you ain't happening. He would just laugh and say, yeah, we just gonna keep working.
Yeah.
But what came of that is what was amazing, because Toby entrusted me first. Then Bernie and Razor entrusted me with their performance, basically. As the tour continued, they found that I could, Patty and some of the other cats realized I knew how to do more than one thing. So then after I would finish setting up the keyboards, they would send me out to do the merch, like take the merch out there and, do the count with whoever's counting in the venue that night. So I would finish doing my keyboards, then I would go out and do the merch, do the count in, and I would have to at the end of the night, I would either collect the money. I would collect the money and the paperwork for the merch, and get all the merch back to the in the bus. Then after that, they found I knew how to do contracts, because I was studying contracts from when I was in school. And so then they would ask me, go up to the office and find out who we need to deal with, who are we dealing with, or who is the contact for the venue to execute the tour contract. So I would go up to the office. I'm Phill. I'm with Bootsy's camp, and we want to, who are we working with to make sure we get paid tonight? So it'd be XYZ, whoever it was. Okay, thank you. I would have a contract and it's just really making sure that everything was in the contract was being adhered to or being executed. Or, it's like, where's the dressing rooms? Over here, over there. So then Paul Carter was doing that. But then Paul starts showing me what he does. As nothing, and Paul would laugh at me when I made mistakes. Say, "You not me." I said, Paul is my brother. I love him to death. Paul taught me everything about working with Bootsy. Don't do this, man. Don't do it. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do. Because Paul running. I mean, these guys, him and AB, Alan Cam, been running with Bootsy for years. It's like I'm the new cat in the circles as far as touring is concerned, anyway. Mm-hmm. And Paul, he's so classy, wearing suits. Always was clean, man. And the way he and Bootsy worked together, I wasn't working with them. In the beginning, I was a stage guy. So, but when I started going out and doing these other things, Paul, I started sort of getting into Paul's world. And Paul's like, yeah, man, you make sure you do this, make sure Boot is cool, make sure Patty cool. Don't do this, don't do that. Bootsy like this, he don't like that. Patty like this, she don't like that. Make sure this is on time. Somebody else is just open with information. Well, I wasn't like falling over myself because it's very easy to do on the road. You know how it is. It don't take much to derail things.
Yeah.
And he made sure that I didn't mess up nothing. So I started taking on more responsibilities in the tour. We finished that first run. I think we did I was with him for 3 years. The whole time we were touring on the Funk Capital of the World tour album. We did United States. We did Europe. We did Japan. Did the United States some more. Went back to Japan. We did Brazil. Man, we did festivals. We did Bonnaroo.
That's awesome.
Man, I mean, we did so many things. By the time midway through that 3-year run, I was no longer the keyboard tech. I was Bootsy's valet. He was at the record store. Robbie Todd. So Robbie Todd was the tour manager. Robbie was like, look, you're going to be Bootsy's valet. Which is basically, it's like valet, but you're like the assistant tour manager. I was like, what do I got to do? He was like, just take care of Bootsy. That's all you got to do. Which taking care of Bootsy was all the things that I had done from the time I was the keyboard tech up until that point, which was basically Paul Carter's job. When Paul found out that I was doing that job, he and Alan Cam must have laughed for 15 minutes. And they laughed, and they laughed, and they laughed. And then Paul was like, you not me. I was like, oh, man, what the fuck am I about to get into? But Paul always made sure that I had my game together, and if it wasn't, he would tell me, and he's like, man, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah.
And he and Alan guided me through that, and Robbie picked me out of it. They could have picked anybody to do it, but Robbie Todd picked me out of the group. He said, dude, you're natural. That's all he said. He's like, this is, and Robbie also was so generous with his information. He made sure that I didn't, you know, that I was cool. He made sure that I was cool with Bootsy, that they needed, and Patty as well. Patty was always, all of them took care of me to where I could really do my job, you know, well. A few things that I did that still sort of, that I messed up on is like Paul, very organized, had his shit together, always was neat. I am not that way. I'm not complete opposite, but I'm not good at keeping up with stuff, and oh man, I lost a couple of Bootsy's t-shirts.
No.
And
Like some of his personal t-shirts?
Yeah, and I'm the same, but the thing is, I'm the same way. I'm the same way with like my clothes.
Yeah.
It's like I mess up a lot of stuff with like my clothes because, you know, I'm designer. I'm a screen printer, you know what I'm saying? So I got t-shirts that, you know, I only wear when I go out. Like if I'm doing a show, if you ever see me and I'm wearing something, it's like I might only wore that shirt one other time and I've had it for like 12 years. I only might have wore it twice. It's like stage. It's like your stage stuff. It's not something that you wear on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And I left one of his shirts, and I think we was playing New York. I left it at the hotel or whatever. Because one of my jobs is take care of his, you know, one of my jobs is take care of his outfits. All of them.
That's a tall order.
Yeah. And I felt so bad. To this day, it still sort of hangs over me like, man, I let him down. It's like the one thing you don't want to do is let him down. You know, it's like you want to do your job and you want to make sure he's cool. In the position that I was in, that's my job.
Yeah.
Period. And I let him down.
But it seems like you use that as positive motivation to not let somebody down.
Well, I tightened my game up.
Yeah.
I started counting every little piece, writing down every little piece. One of my jobs was to take note of every show that he did. Whatever he wore that day at that show, I had to have notes of it so I knew. He had names for all of his outfits. So when we talked, we didn't talk, and you know, I had to learn how Bootsy talked, names of things, and I couldn't, you know, if he called it Casper, you know, white Casper, red Casper, black Casper, I couldn't call it your black cape or whatever. I couldn't call it. I had to call it what it was.
Yeah.
And what it was is whatever Bootsy called it.
Yeah.
So, you know, so that's what, you know, you learn. And I really tightened up my game. Paul laughed at me. Yeah, man. I ain't never lost none of Bootsy stuff. Yo, sorry, dude, man. I still and I felt so bad. It's like the next show we went to, I went shopping to try to find something. Try to find something to give to him to, like, you know, to take that edge off. It's like it's an edge. Like when you respect and love somebody, it's like your wife or something, and you do something that's like, man, that is messed up. It's like you want to make it up to her. And as much as I loved what was going on and loved him, you don't want to let him down. And when you let him down, whether, you know, you make mistakes. When you make a mistake, you want to make it up to him. But whatever you do, you got to accept that mistake. So I went shopping, and I got him. You know, I know some history of Bootsy. I only been listening to. I was in his fan club in high school. I still got the black and white that they sent me. So it wasn't like I didn't know about him.
Yeah.
As much as I could know about him without working with him. Put it that way. You know, I was like, yo, Boot, I found this shirt, man. It's dope. It was like Bruce Lee shirt. And he down. He liked Bruce Lee, one of his people. And he was like, "Oh, that's cool. Thanks, man." But I could see it wasn't happening. But he appreciated that at least I made that effort, that I really cared.
Yeah.
And I think he didn't bust me for, he didn't bust my balls over. He seen that I was genuine, and we moved on.
Yeah.
But I see pictures of him in that shirt. And when I see pictures of that shirt, it's like, man, I wish I could get that shirt to give to him.
Yeah.
When you really care, you carry those things with you. And it's not, you don't carry it with you now, like, oh my God. You carry it with you so it don't happen again. So you don't make that mistake again. But things like that, those one-of-a-kind things you can't duplicate. No. Somebody out in that world has that, and they have no idea. It's just something cool. So you carry them things with you to make sure it don't happen again. It's one of those lessons that you learn.
Yeah, well, it's that kind of thing. It's a testament to your character, man. That
Bootsy could have romance about it, but he didn't, and it was sweet that he didn't. But that's he's who he is.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like the type that will bring that up. It's just
he never brought it. He never brought it up again. But see, I also had a thing, So Paul wore suits, shirt and tie, however he was rolling. I had my own style. So me and Boot would have like shirt wars, I guess. Because I had this wardrobe, but I also had my gear. Some of it was stuff that, most of it was what I designed. Like what I wear, like this. This is the logo for my clothing line.
Cool.
It's such an underground clothing line. Anybody in hip hop that's ever got my clothes, they rarely wear them because they end up being like their stage clothes. They only wear it when they go out to special events.
Yeah.
So it's like this clothing line it's turned into something that I didn't think it would. It's sought out. I only sell them when I'm doing shows or if somebody requests them. And I've lived off of this clothing line over the years. And it's still got legs. Yo, Philly, man, I've got stories of this clothing line being parts of people's divorce decree. Because they want, it's like, I'm keeping this, it's like, take everything else, you're not taking this shirt. And it's like the stories make it back to me. So me and Bootsy is like, I'll walk in, it's like I get dressed intentionally to see how we gonna react to each other's gear, you know what I'm saying? So I walk in, I got my, whatever I got. I was, damn, Philly, man, I'm about to get one of them Philly. I said, oh, man, you got me today. Bootsy's like, oh, man, you got me today. So, we really got, when he got comfortable with me, we really have fun. We really have fun together, when I was in that position. Also, I learned, about the crowd thing. When he was playing, he has two costume changes in his set. So after the first costume change, he going, how the crowd looking, Philly? When he first asked me that, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, no, I don't think they moving like they should. Yeah, baby. I said, well, let me check it out. So we go out second set. Now I'm paying attention. Now it's like I'm like in DJ mode, trying to see that band is hitting like they supposed to. You know, anybody that knows, and you know it as well as a musician, it's like when you playing a certain song, you know that the people should be doing certain things. When you get into your set, you know that when this song hits, that people should react a certain way. And if they're not moving or reacting a certain way, you know that either you need to do more, do less. You know what you need to do to get the crowd where you want it to be, where that music, when you made that music, you had in your mind that the crowd is going to be doing this. Bootsy taught me from what I learned being a house DJ up to that point. Bootsy was surgical about how he's seen those things. This side of the room is feeling it. I don't know what's going on over there, Philly. You know, we got to hit this harder. The band got to do this or that. You know, he might change a song in a set, or he might, you know, he'll go through a set, but he's orchestrating the whole time to get the reaction that he know he needs. Whether the bass ain't hitting hard enough, the drummer ain't doing whatever he want the drummer to do. The keyboard players, they might be too loud in the mix, so they ain't hearing it right. So if they ain't hearing it right, then they not able to play it right. You know, whatever it was, he was a master at knowing if the crowd ain't doing what he knows they should be doing when they're playing a certain song. He knew that the band needs to do this or that, or a volume needs to be turned up or down to get that reaction from the crowd. And those are the type of conversations we would have in between sets. Oh, Philly, they ain't moving like they supposed to, Philly. I'm gonna have to get this done. Now he wouldn't go into me. It's like, they need to do that. And that's, you know, we just talk. He would talk. I would listen, and you know, I would say something every now and then, but I would just more listen. And then I would watch the crowd. Then he would come back. How they moving, Philly? Then I started to get it. So then now I'm paying attention. Now I'm making sure when this song comes on, they should be doing this. When this song comes on, they should be doing that. And we would go back in between sets while I'm changing them or whatever I'm doing. That when that last set come on and he and you know his guitar solo, whatever he did, I gotta come out and hit it. I gotta kill it. And that could, and you know, whatever he got to do, man. By the end of the night, the crowd was where they needed to be, you know. And it's really surgical. It's mental. You know, you can go off into that thing to where you don't know that you're doing it. But when you come out of it and you look out into that crowd and they moving like they need to do, then you know you accomplish your goal for the night. You know, being in that position, I got a chance to experience all that. It was a one-of-a-kind experience, you know. Being around these special people, Paul, A.B., Toby, like all the cats, Razor, Bernie, even Mudbone. I learned a lot just working with him in the studio. Just generous with information. I try to do that when I work with artists. If I'm producing an artist, if I'm just, Philly, I need a studio to work in. I'll work in a few studios. Let me see if I can find a good studio for you, just to guide them to a studio where they can work. You know, even if I just help them one time. Just being generous with information, man, is something that can't be duplicated if you're that type of person to be able to help others.
Yeah. Well, I think that, as we start to wrap this up, it's like you've really pulled that thread home for people. and just in taking the time today to sit down and chat for a little bit. Like, this kind of thing sits on the internet and seems to always find people when it needs to. And damn near every time that you and I have interacted, it's felt like you found me when you needed to. You've always brought something so positive to the game, man. And you're really one of a kind. I know you don't need your flowers from me, but I appreciate you a lot, bro.
No, I don't do a lot of podcasts. I might have done 3, 4. People they don't ask. I don't seek it out either. I don't seek out any type of limelight or nothing. Even when I DJ, if I had a curtain in front of me, I'd be real happy about that. But it's cool when I get an opportunity to, I appreciate it because knowing how I am, the fact that I don't seek it out, when I do get an opportunity to do it, I know it's coming from a good place, and I'm just thankful for the time.
Well, you lived a hell of a life, man. I think we need to document for future generations a way that's considerate.
Not many
folks are gonna know about the Do Crew and that Chevelle, man. I mean, that's important stuff right there.
The Chevy Chevelle, man.
Dude, that's important stuff. I want to see these suits. You gotta send me pics of these suits at some point.
Oh man, goodness.
Anything you want to promote as we start to wrap up?
Jesus. I don't know. If you see Phill Entertainment, it's going to be a sure shot good time. That's all.
Yeah.
Phill Entertainment. And the Phill Entertainment thing is just, it's really just my life. It's a logo and it's a brand. And I've been lucky enough that people over the years have come to my show just because my name is on it, not particularly who's playing. Because they know that the quality of production that I put together, they appreciate. I've never had a fight at any of the shows that I've done. I've never had anyone get killed at one of my shows or get hurt at one of my shows. At the beginning of all my shows, I always say, I got a few rules. I say, yo, take care of each other. If somebody gets too drunk, tell me, I'll take them home. I just, tip the bartenders. Love each other while we're here because the show is going to be dope. And I've given people rides. In the middle of a show, somebody gets sick or drunk, I take them home. And I'll come back. I leave it with my homies. Make sure things, I'll be back. I did that. I just did that with, I just did a show with HR, Bad Brains. He's one of my brothers. He's another guy that is just generous with his information. Just, he just allowed me to, love him, and be cool with him. Not ask him a bunch of questions, but just to let him make a comfortable environment for him, and he was open with me. But the last show I did, he was dealing with medical things. If you know any history of HR, he's dealing with some medical things. And he was just sick that night, tired. It was the last show of the tour. And he did 2 songs, and he just walked off stage, went upstairs. I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, Phill, I'm not feeling too good. Give me 15 minutes, let me see how I'm doing. I'll put somebody outside the door, close the door. I said, just relax, whatever you got to do. I'll be back in 15 minutes. Go down, the band's still playing. Everyone was going on. And I just sort of stood there and watched the crowd, see what was going on. The band is playing, so I said, yeah, they just kept playing their songs, playing the songs from the set. And he was just too sick to play. He's like, Philly, I can't go tonight. I need to go back to the hotel. In the middle of the show, I said, come on. I went and got my car, threw him in the car, got the tour manager. I said, you come with me, took him to the hotel. You know, came back, band finished playing, came back. I just announced, you know, HR is sick, he can't play tonight. And, you know, thanks for coming. I appreciate everything. And everybody was cool. It wasn't a big uproar. It wasn't like, we want our money back. It's this bullshit. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, a couple people was like that, but, you know, that's expected. But the thing was that at the beginning of the night, I give that announcement. I said, just love each other, take care of each other. You know, if y'all smoking weed, you know, smoke outside. You know, make sure y'all call me. You know, I want to be part of the smoke session, whatever. And to be able to put the crowd at ease, to know they're about to have an experience, that puts everybody in a mind state to enjoy something. I've never had a problem at any of my shows. And I think that's part of it. The other part is people decide not to be crazy, but that really sets off a night that we are about to do something, and everybody gets in tune to each other. It's like, all right. And, you know, me being a cop and all, hopefully I never have to really use any of that experience, and I haven't. Other people, you know, anytime I've, and that's what's cool about it. Anytime I have a problem, other people handle it out of respect. I don't know if it's out of respect for me or just our friendship. It's like, yo, but they know, everybody knows when we're working together that, you know, we're gonna be cool. We're not gonna beat nobody down or nothing like that. And because of that, if people come to my show, if they see Phill Entertainment, they'll be willing to come because they know they've had a good experience. So I don't know. I got a few things going on, but I don't have any contracts for them, so there's no need for me to bring it up. But I do appreciate everybody that has come to anything that I produce that has my name on it and had a good time. Like I said, those 5 people. People that I can count on one hand that you know might have some negative words about me. That's it's the business.
Yeah.
At that point.
Well, you provide something different, and we all appreciate you, man.
I've been told I'm too nice to be in the music business, and
fuck them. That's ridiculous.
I'll say, if hopefully if you stay in the music business long enough, do you meet one person that you think that of? You know, because it is a lot of, you know, the music business is one of the businesses that has no rules. Entertainment business, not just music, but, you know, film, everything else. Anything involved art, it has no rules. Outside, I'm looking at your music business books, and I got some of the same ones. Outside of them handful of things that's in them books, you know, copyright, publishing, and even that don't even stand on its own legs at times. There's no rules. You can do whatever you want, and if you got a good lawyer and you got a good heart, you're gonna be all right.
Make that a bumper sticker. If you got a good lawyer and you got a good heart, you're gonna be all right. That's beautiful, man. That's so well put. Let's wrap it on that. Phill, I love you, bro. Thanks for being here.
Man, I love you. Thanks for having me, homie.
Absolutely, man.